a monstrous figure loomed, crackling energy surging as destruction engulfed the ruined battlefield without mercy. The ground shattered beneath immense force, revealing twisted horrors lurking beneath crumbling ruins of war. A massive beast emerged, eyes glowing with menace, dripping blood from countless battles fought ruthlessly. Lifeless bodies hung suspended, victims of an unseen force that controlled them like fragile puppets. Terrifying entity hovered ominously, its crimson threads extending toward Earth, signaling impending devastation and despair. Earth fractured violently, transforming into a burning wasteland where survival became an impossible challenge. A ruined cityscape stretched endlessly, offering temporary refuge from pursuing threats lurking within shadows. Chen Yan led Koyuki forward, determined to find safety amid the ruins filled with dangers. Desperation settled in as Koyuki struggled to keep moving, exhaustion evident in every weakening step. Hunger gnawed at them, yet Chen Yan remained focused on protecting his sister above everything else. A sudden collapse sent both crashing down, debris scattering across the desolate, abandoned cityscape. Chen Yan reached for Koyuki, worry clouding his expression as she lay weak and breathless. Apologetic and distressed, he examined her, noticing her trembling hands and barely concealed pain. Koyuki revealed the truth domain poison had been slowly eating away at her fragile body. 5 years of suffering had taken their toll, and now she had reached her limit. Chen Yan clenched his fists, despair filling his eyes as Koyuki's body trembled in pain. His mind raced for a solution, but the poison had already spread beyond saving. Koyuki's lips curled into a weak smile, expressing gratitude for surviving together all this time. A tear rolled down her cheek, exhaustion overtaking her fragile, struggling body completely. Flames roared in the distance, painting the sky red as shadows loomed closer around them. A strange force caught Chen Yan's attention, its overwhelming presence sending chills through his spine. His gaze locked onto a monstrous entity, its glowing eyes filled with twisted amusement. The creature's dark energy coiled menacingly, holding Koyuki's weak form like a discarded doll. Chen Yan took a shaky breath, his heart pounding as he faced overwhelming despair. With a sinister grin, the monster released Koyuki's body, sending her plummeting through the air. Horror filled Chen Yan's eyes as Koyuki's body fell toward the burning ruins below. His legs moved instinctively, but the beast's cruel laughter echoed, blocking his path. Koyuki's body crashed, her final breath lost amidst the flames consuming the broken city. Rage surged within Chen Yan, his trembling hands curling into fists as fury took over. The monster's gaze shifted, its grin widening as it prepared to destroy him next. Chen Yan's rage boiled over, his hands trembling as he clenched his fists in fury. He grabbed a weapon, his determination burning despite the overwhelming odds before him. His glare locked onto the monster, anger fueling his resolve despite his shaking limbs. The beast mocked his defiance, its sinister eyes gleaming with amusement at his struggle. Darkness surrounded them, its oppressive weight pressing down as the creature prepared to strike. A fiery strike tore through the air, sending Chen Yan crashing into the ground. Blood spilled from his mouth, his vision blurring as pain shot through his body. The beast towered over him, reveling in the sight of his weakened state. Flames roared around them, consuming everything in sight as destruction spread unchecked. His mind swirled with memories, regret, and helplessness, drowning his last ounce of strength. Darkness crept into his vision, yet his heart refused to surrender so easily. The monster's laughter echoed, but something deep inside him resisted complete defeat. A strange energy flickered, stirring within him, pushing back against the looming darkness. The beast summoned a crimson blade, its edges pulsating with sinister, malevolent energy. Chen Yan's eyes widened as the weapon descended, fate threatening to end everything instantly. The monster loomed closer, amused by Chen Yan's silence despite the unbearable pain he endured. Blood dripped as Chen Yan struggled, his strength fading while his determination refused to break. His vision blurred, but a mysterious light flickered before him, catching his desperate gaze. A glowing angel-like statue lay among the ruins, its presence stirring something deep inside him. A distant memory surfaced, mirroring the angel statue he once gifted Koyuki long ago. 10 years earlier, he had carefully prepared a birthday gift, hoping to surprise her. Koyuki's eyes sparkled with joy as she unwrapped the beautifully crafted angel figure. His heart warmed seeing her happiness, unaware of the hardships they would later face. Koyuki's voice echoed in his mind, reminding him of his promise to protect her. Chen Yan carefully placed the angel figure, believing it would always protect Koyuki from harm. Memories resurfaced, his promise echoing in his mind, guilt weighing heavy over his broken oath. 5 years ago, chaos erupted as survivors ran through burning streets, pursued by monstrous creatures. The group struggled to escape, fearing the poisonous mist that threatened to consume everything. Panic spread as people tripped, their desperate cries fading beneath the creature's overwhelming presence. Chen Yan clutched his injured arm, frustration building as he struggled to keep moving forward. His eyes widened, spotting an escape route, adrenaline pushing him to climb without hesitation. A monstrous entity hovered above, its eerie red glow sending chills through his battered body. His heartbeat pounded as he braced himself, feeling the overwhelming force press against him. His limbs ached, exhaustion threatening to consume him while his mind screamed for survival. Thoughts of Koyuki gave him strength, determination reigniting as he forced himself to endure. Koyuki appeared, her concerned gaze cutting through his pain, reminding him of his promise. Relief flooded him as Koyuki helped him up, her grip firm despite her trembling. Chenyan's breath hitched, shocked that she had returned instead of escaping as planned. Urgency filled the air as they hurried, fear tightening its grip around them. Regret settled in, realizing that Koyuki's return had placed her in greater danger. They finally reached safety, but the infection's presence lingered, threatening their fragile moment. Chenyan shielded Koyuki, but overwhelming force sent him crashing to the ground, bleeding heavily. Lying motionless, regret filled his thoughts. He had failed to protect her when she needed him. The monstrous entity loomed above, reveling in its triumph over the broken, powerless survivor. Red energy coiled around his fallen body, sealing his tragic fate beneath its merciless grasp. His vision faded, blood pooling as he accepted the cruel reality of his inevitable end. A sudden surge of light erupted, breaking through the darkness, consuming his lifeless form. Strange symbols flickered, system activation initiating something unknown deep within his body's core. Time itself fractured, moments reversing as an unseen force rewound everything 5 years back. His consciousness stirred, waking in an unfamiliar place, confusion swirling through his disoriented mind. Voices echoed around him, mocking his collapsed state as his vision slowly regained focus. A sharp gaze met his, recognition striking as he saw the gang leader approaching. Memories flooded back. This man once ruled their town, exploiting people through fear and power. The gang thrived on extortion, disguising their crimes under the pretense of forced protection. Chenyan clenched his fists, realizing his return gave him a chance to change everything. The man smirked, bringing up Koyuki's condition, oblivious to the storm now brewing inside. The gang leader smirked, demanding payment while hinting at Koyuki's uncertain fate. Chenyan clenched his fists, fury simmering beneath the surface as mockery surrounded him. His thoughts raced, desperate to confirm if Koyuki was still alive in this timeline. Determined, he forced himself forward, ignoring the suffocating weight of his resurfacing memories. Around him, life continued normally, oblivious to the horrors destined to arrive soon. Doubt clouded his thoughts. Was he truly back in time, or was this a dream? He scanned his surroundings, searching for familiar landmarks to confirm his terrifying realization. 5 years ago, the warnings had gone unheard, leading to inevitable disaster. Monsters soon emerged, wiping out cities while humanity remained unaware of their looming doom. The world still moved forward, unaware that destruction was closer than they could imagine. His breath quickened. If this was real, he had a chance to change everything. Rushing through the streets, he desperately searched for Koyuki, fearing the worst. His heart pounded as he burst into their home, finding her resting peacefully. Overwhelmed with relief, he realized his second chance to protect her had begun. The past was not set in stone this time. He would not fail. Chenyan stared at the date, realizing Koyuki's infection had already begun. His hands clenched. The time reversal wasn't enough to prevent her from being poisoned. Regret flooded him. Returning a month earlier could have changed everything. He struggled with frustration, knowing the past was not so easily rewritten. A sudden energy surge interrupted his thoughts, forcing him into alertness. A voice echoed, an unknown system introducing itself as the level-up mechanism. Chenyan listened, skeptical of the claim that reaching level 99 could save humanity. The system revealed he was currently level 0, emphasizing the challenge ahead. Doubt filled his mind. How could he succeed where stronger people had failed? Before he could protest, the system forcefully activated his hidden abilities. The digital interface shimmered, preparing for an unexpected teleportation sequence. Panic surged as he realized the system was forcibly relocating him. Chenyan's surroundings warped, pulling him into an unknown, pixelated void. Koyuki's faint voice reached him, her figure flickering within the system's light. A bright flash engulfed him before he crashed into an unfamiliar forest. Kazuya crashed onto the grassy field, groaning as he looked around, confused by his surroundings. A glowing message appeared before him, informing him this was beginner's zone for testing power. He clenched his fists, frustrated, refusing to play along with the system's supposed heroic quest. Kazuya only cared about one thing: finding a way to save Koyuki from domain poison. His eyes widened upon learning that antidote ingredients existed within domains, offering chance for survival. He clenched his fists, determined to grow stronger, knowing Koyuki's survival depended on his progress. A massive energy storm surged, covering the sky, signaling the collapse of reality itself. Tall buildings flickered under the barrier, as cracks spread across the shimmering, unstable protective field. The city's barrier weakened, unable to resist the endless waves of destruction approaching rapidly. The last hope lay within ancient ruins, untouched by the catastrophe consuming the world's surface. Monstrous creatures surged through destroyed lands, leaving nothing but destruction and chaos in their wake. Only those with awakened abilities could survive before humanity collapsed under the apocalypse's overwhelming force. Chenyan stood in the dense forest, staring at the unfamiliar yet strangely familiar surroundings. The system forced him forward, demanding he uncover secrets hidden within the unknown domain ahead. He had to find rare ingredients to create an antidote that might save his sister. Determined to push forward, he clenched his fists and stepped cautiously through the thick vegetation. A rustling sound from the bushes sent a chill down his spine, making him tense. His instincts screamed danger as he noticed movement ahead, hidden behind layers of dense foliage. A dark shadow emerged, causing his heart to race in anticipation of an impending battle. He expected a terrifying beast, but instead saw a capybara calmly observing him from afar. Relief washed over him, but uncertainty remained. What was a capybara doing in this place? Chen Yan sighed, relieved it wasn't a magical beast, wiping the cold sweat from his forehead. He stared down, confused why a harmless capybara was in such a dangerous place alone. It chewed food leisurely, unaware of the harsh reality of this deadly environment surrounding them. Suddenly, a sharp glint reflected in Chen Yan's eyes, signaling an incoming attack from below. His expression twisted in shock as blood splattered. The capybara revealed sharp fangs, biting savagely. He gasped, realizing this wasn't normal. Had the apocalypse also mutated peaceful creatures into predators? The capybara's eyes glowed ominously, flesh dripping from its mouth as it devoured its prey. Stepping back cautiously, Chen Yan muttered an apology, realizing he had interrupted a terrifying meal. His instincts screamed at him to escape immediately, before the beast turned its attention toward him. Turning on his heels, he sprinted desperately, hoping the creature wouldn't chase after him. The realization struck anything within these domains could mutate, even the most harmless creatures imaginable. He cursed himself for forgetting such a critical rule in this unpredictable and dangerous environment. Rustling sounds emerged from behind, making his pulse quicken. He wasn't alone in the forest. A heavy force struck from above, sending him airborne before he could react in time. Struggling to rise, he braced himself. The real danger had just begun, towering before him. Chen Yan's breath quickened as he turned, wondering if the mutated beast had caught up. His surroundings remained eerily silent, yet his instincts warned him danger lurked nearby. A fallen branch lay ahead, his only weapon against whatever was stalking him now. He crouched, gripping the sharp end firmly, preparing himself for an inevitable sudden attack. Eyes wide with determination, he readied the branch, aiming straight at an approaching threat. The dense foliage rustled, revealing movement, but Chen Yan struggled to pinpoint the source. Sweat dripped down his face as he raised his makeshift weapon, scanning his surroundings. His heart pounded as shadows flickered. Then, something lunged at him from the side. He flinched, barely catching sight of a second mutated capybara charging straight toward him. Pain erupted through his arm as sharp fangs sank deep into his flesh, drawing blood. Gritting his teeth, Chen Yan swung wildly, throwing the beast aside before staggering backward. More red eyes glowed in the darkness. There wasn't just one, but multiple predators. He clenched his wounded arm, knowing he wouldn't last long against this relentless chase. Running aimlessly wouldn't work. He needed a way to shake them off before exhaustion set in. Desperation filled his gaze. Was there anything nearby he could use to distract them? Chen Yan gasped for breath, knowing he only needed a moment to regain his strength. The vines rustled above him, wrapping around his arm as he struggled to pull free. His body was lifted off the ground, suspended midair by the twisting living vines. Below, the mutated capybaras snarled, their sharp fangs bared as they leaped toward him. Sunlight filtered through the trees, illuminating the capybaras hanging midair, trapped in the vines. A loud crash erupted as something massive struck the ground, shaking the entire forest. Chen Yan stared, wide-eyed, struggling to comprehend the sudden change in his surroundings. The vines loosened, giving him a chance to land safely without further injury. Blood dripped from his wounded arm as he steadied himself, heart pounding rapidly. A surge of energy coursed through his body. This was his only chance to escape. Blood-stained creatures lay before Chen Yan, their mutated bodies lifeless after the fierce battle. He steadied himself, scanning the surroundings, confirming that no more threats were approaching. A realization struck. He had defeated two monstrous beasts alone, something unimaginable before today. The fight felt surreal, yet the lingering pain in his body proved it was real. A glowing system notification appeared, revealing his newly unlocked ability, beginner-level sensing control. Chen Yan read the screen carefully, unsure what sensing control truly meant for his abilities. Memories of past survivors surfaced, people who honed their senses beyond human limitations. Some gained precise control over their muscles, enabling incredible speed and reflexes. Others evolved eyesight beyond human limits, granting abilities like night vision or aerial perception. But sensing control felt different. He had never encountered anything like this before. His thoughts raced, wondering if his power allowed him to manipulate plants or objects. That idea seemed unlikely. The system would have categorized it differently if that were true. He considered the possibility that his control extended beyond just physical manipulation. Injured and exhausted, he decided to recover before testing his newfound ability further. The system's message warned him he couldn't leave unless he destroyed the domain's energy core. Chen Yan's heart pounded as he realized the only exit required destroying the domain's core. His body tensed when a sudden shadow loomed over him, blocking out the sky. He turned, eyes widening in horror at the massive figure standing before him. A towering mutated capybara with blood-red eyes let out an earth-shaking roar. The overwhelming pressure froze him in place. The creature's strength was on an entirely different level. The beast lunged forward, its massive jaw stretching open, revealing razor-sharp mutated fangs. Chen Yan barely dodged, his instincts screaming that this monster was beyond the previous ones. He gasped, realizing this capybara dwarfed the ones he had just defeated. Unlike before, this creature radiated pure power. It was a true apex predator. He clenched his fists, knowing this fight wouldn't be as simple as the last. His thoughts raced. He had never encountered a beast this terrifyingly strong in previous battles. The capybara stomped forward, sending shockwaves through the ground, shaking the entire forest. Chen Yan's mind screamed for a solution, but no clear plan formed in time. If this monster struck him even once, he knew he wouldn't survive the impact. Sweat dripped down his face as he realized the brutal reality. He was completely outmatched. Chen Yan reached toward the twisting vines, hoping his new ability could provide a chance. Desperation surged as he willed the vines to move, urging them to respond immediately. He lunged forward, fully committing to testing his power in this critical moment. His hands trembled as he pleaded, pouring his will into commanding the vines. Suddenly, the vines shot forward, whipping through the air with incredible force. The massive capybara lunged, but the vines wrapped around its legs, halting its charge. A deafening crash followed as the beast slammed into the ground, restrained by the vines. Chen Yan's eyes widened in amazement. His power had worked exactly as he intended. He clenched his fists, realizing he might actually stand a chance in this battle. If he found a proper weapon, his newfound ability could turn the tide. Just as he gained confidence, the capybara's monstrous strength snapped the vines effortlessly. Horror filled Chen Yan's eyes as he realized the creature was still far too powerful. He barely reacted before the beast's claws sliced through the air toward him. Dodging at the last second, he tumbled backward as the ground shattered violently. He sprinted away, heart pounding. One mistake, and he'd be crushed instantly. Chen Yan tumbled across the ground, barely dodging another devastating charge from the massive beast. The capybara's sheer size made it nearly impossible for him to restrain with vines alone. He clenched his fists, realizing he needed a stronger method to subdue the monster. Wiping blood from his mouth, he gritted his teeth and prepared for his next move. With determination, he decided to lure the beast deeper into the dense forest ahead. He sprinted forward, using every ounce of strength left to widen the gap between them. The capybara roared furiously, its massive form barreling forward, shaking the earth beneath them. The thick jungle ahead provided the perfect environment for Chen Yan's desperate counterattack plan. He inhaled sharply, pushing his battered body onward, hoping his plan would finally succeed. The monstrous beast shrieked behind him, its rage intensifying as it charged recklessly forward. Chen Yan pressed his hands against the vines, sensing their energy pulsating beneath his fingertips. If he could control the surrounding vines, he might finally stand a chance to win. Blood dripped from Chen Yan's lips as he struggled to move, exhaustion weighing him down. A golden glow shimmered ahead, illuminating the forest as he sprinted toward its source desperately. His vision blurred, mind racing. His body refused to move despite his frantic attempts to escape. A monstrous beast emerged from the shadows, red eyes locking onto him, hunger in its gaze. Chen Yan forced his body forward, but pain exploded as the creature's attack struck him. His body faltered, strength fading. He gritted his teeth, thinking about Koyuki waiting for him. A memory surfaced. Koyuki smiled, asking for soda, unaware of the dangers surrounding them both. He promised to find her soda, searching the ruined supermarket for anything to ease her. The shelves were empty, nothing remained. Desperation grew. But he couldn't return empty-handed to Koyuki. She rarely asked for anything. He decided to take her somewhere safer to search again. Koyuki curled on the cold ground, hiding her pain, unwilling to show weakness to him. Realization struck Chen Yan. She had been silently suffering all this time without complaining once. He clenched his fists, guilt washing over him. He should be protecting her, not failing her. Darkness swirled. A sinister presence loomed. Koyuki's voice trembled as she begged him to run. Chen Yan's breath hitched. His sister pleaded for his survival, blood trailing down her pale lips. A vision flashed, an unchangeable past, pain lingering, determination igniting within his wounded body. Chen Yan clenched his teeth, refusing weakness, vowing never to let tragedy repeat again. The beast loomed before him, muscles tense, eyes glowing with the hunger of a predator. His fingers tightened around the golden relic, energy surging, awakening a power deep within. A loud screech echoed through the sky, birds scattering as the air crackled with energy. Blood dripped from his lips, but his senses sharpened, attuned to the forest's pulse. A deep breath settled within him. He could hear the heartbeat of the world itself. His body synchronized with nature, awareness expanding, a connection forming with the surrounding life. Vines erupted from the earth, twisting around the beast, halting its charge instantly. The creature thrashed wildly, its screeches growing louder, struggling against the unrelenting grasp of nature. Chen Yan's eyes widened, realizing the vines had given him another chance to escape. The beast's glowing eyes flickered with desperation, its body bound by nature's powerful grip. The vines tightened further, their thorns piercing the beast's flesh, drawing dark crimson blood. Its roars turned to strained cries, its struggles weakening as pain overtook its movements. A final snap echoed. The beast's body collapsed, lifeless, as the vines claimed their victory. Chen Yan stood over the defeated beast, breathing heavily, realization sinking in he had survived. His legs gave out, exhaustion overwhelming him, blood pooling beneath as pain racked his body. Every muscle ached, he pushed too hard, but victory brought relief and unexpected consequences. His vision blurred, frustration growing, his body failed him at the worst possible moment. A glowing screen appeared before him, announcing his level up and unexpected damage recovery. Lying on the ground, he felt his wounds slowly closing, strength returning to his body. His eyes widened, injuries vanished with each level up, revealing an unexpected healing ability. This new power could mean survival, saving him from the brink of death repeatedly. Near the beast's lifeless body, a glowing crystal floated, radiating power into the air. The energy core pulsed brightly, signaling a rare opportunity he couldn't afford to ignore. He reached for the core. Recognizing its value, this could alter his survival chances drastically. If the energy core vanished, so would its domain, changing the battlefield around him. As expected, the crystal transformed, randomly generating an item with unpredictable properties. A blade materialized in his grasp, luck favoring him with a weapon upgrade. Beside it, a small energy stone appeared, rumored to be valuable in trade markets. A mysterious plant materialized, glowing faintly, alongside a sleek vial labeled as painkillers. His fingers tightened around the vial, realizing it could be a solution for Koyuki. Dopamine poison caused excruciating pain, leaving victims helpless without a cure to ease suffering. His heart pounded. If the medicine worked, Koyuki wouldn't have to endure the pain anymore. A system notification appeared, revealing new functions unlocking as his progress continued advancing further. A sudden system message interrupted his thoughts, warning that the domain would soon vanish. Panic surged. Without the domain, his heightened perception and abilities could potentially disappear. Energy swirled around him, signaling the collapse of the battlefield as reality shifted again. His gaze locked onto the distant spot where he had fallen earlier, questions forming. The sky distorted, shimmering with light as remnants of the domain slowly dissipated. A blinding flash enveloped him. When his vision cleared, he stood in a bustling city. Disoriented, he glanced around, struggling to comprehend why he had been teleported there. Urgency overtook confusion. Koyuki needed him, and he had no time to waste. He pushed forward through the crowd, urgency filling every step toward his destination. A familiar voice called his name, confusion deepening as he turned toward an approaching figure. A loud voice echoed through the crowd as the man sneered, mocking Chenyan's presence. His grin widened, confidence overflowing as he raised his fist, preparing to strike hard. Chenyan's body reacted instinctively, dodging at an incredible speed before the punch landed. The attacker's expression twisted in shock, his eyes widening as his target disappeared instantly. Chenyan's mind raced, his body moved automatically, guided by an unknown force deep within. A system screen appeared, displaying Ryo's status. His level had increased, revealing a new ability. Chenyan sidestepped, narrowly avoiding the attack, his reflexes sharper than before, surprising his opponent. The man smirked, confident that luck wouldn't save Chenyan from his next attack. Another strike came, but Chenyan saw it clearly, reacting instinctively before impact. His eyes widened, he could sense air shifts, predicting attacks with a newfound awareness. A system notification confirmed his suspicions. His level up had enhanced his reaction speed and perception. Frustration boiled over as his opponent roared, vowing to crush him no matter what. The crowd whispered nervously, doubting Chenyan could survive against the so-called king. He watched his opponent carefully, realizing past fear had once blinded his judgment. Memories resurfaced, those moments of terror that had once kept him paralyzed in fear. He had feared this man before, but now he saw things differently. A monstrous roar echoed in his mind. Compared to domain creatures, this opponent was nothing. His eyes steeled with determination, knowing he had faced far worse than this. Confidence surged as he stood firm, watching his opponent charge recklessly forward. With precise movement, he dodged effortlessly, countering before his opponent could react. His strike landed, sending his opponent staggering backward, shock written across his face. Gasps filled the air as Chenyan effortlessly threw his opponent onto the cold ground. The defeated man lay motionless, struggling to comprehend how he had lost so easily. Disbelief clouded his eyes. He never expected to be overpowered by someone like Chenyan. Chenyan stood tall, his presence undeniable, shifting the balance of power completely. With a cold stare, he declared his dominance, forcing respect from those watching. Panic spread as someone shouted, urging the others to attack all at once. Yet hesitation filled the crowd as their fallen leader groaned on the ground. The golden sunlight reflected off distant buildings, casting long shadows over the rooftop battlefield. Those who had mocked Chenyan moments ago now trembled, questioning his newfound strength. A single step echoed the presence of an unknown figure approaching, sent chills through them. Blood dripped from Chenyan's fists as he stared at his trembling hands in shock. A grin crept onto his face. He had won, proving his strength once and for all. The battle was over, and reality set, and his enemies weren't as powerful as expected. His gaze shifted toward the distant cityscape, knowing another battle awaited beyond this moment. Koyuki rested peacefully. Unaware of his struggle, he had survived, but his fight wasn't over. Chenyan activated the system, reaching for the glowing medicine that could help Koyuki recover. The painkiller materialized, pulsating with energy, holding the hope of alleviating her unbearable suffering. His hands trembled as he questioned if this medicine would truly ease Koyuki's pain. Carefully, he administered the glowing remedy, watching as it seeped into her weakened body. Koyuki's expression softened, the tension in her body slowly fading as the pain subsided. Koyuki's breathing steadied, her body reacting positively. The medicine was working as he had hoped. Relief washed over Chen Yan, realizing he had finally given her some peace from suffering. Desperation took over. He needed to find the antidote for the domain poison before it worsened. A system message warned him the necessary ingredients were in the most dangerous zones. His determination grew. Survival was uncertain, but failure was never an option for Koyuki. He now understood leveling up in the domain was the only way to grow stronger. Koyuki stirred, her voice weak, finally regaining consciousness after the long, painful struggle. She sat up slowly, her expression confused as she tried to understand what happened. The constant pain she had endured was gone, leaving her both shocked and relieved. She hugged Chen Yan tightly, but her eyes filled with concern upon seeing his injuries. Ryo countered with precision, flipping his opponent onto the ground as the crowd gasped in shock. The defeated man lay there, eyes wide, unable to believe he had lost to Ryo. Ryo stood tall, his piercing gaze silencing those who once mocked his weakness. The surrounding gang members hesitated, realizing Ryo was no longer the pushover they had expected. A powerful presence emerged from the crowd, stepping forward to challenge Ryo's newfound strength. The gang members, overwhelmed by fear, hesitated before deciding whether to attack or retreat. Their leader roared, refusing to accept defeat, demanding his followers to strike at once. Bodies littered the courtyard, clear evidence of Ryo's overwhelming power against their futile resistance. A familiar voice whispered in disbelief, questioning if this was truly the same Ryo. A dark shadow loomed closer, signaling that an even greater danger was approaching. Ryo clenched his fists, realizing this victory was just the beginning of an even greater battle. His smirk grew, knowing he had gained strength, but stronger enemies awaited. The sky above seemed endless, much like the challenges he still had to overcome. Koyuki's weak form rested as Ryo watched over her, his determination only growing stronger. With a deep breath, Ryo vowed to keep fighting, no matter what came next. Ryo carried Koyuki on his back, feeling the exhaustion from his recent battles weighing him down. Koyuki teased Ryo, calling him spoiled despite his strength, making him sigh with mild frustration. The sun shone brightly over the city, a peaceful moment contrasting the dangers they faced. Flames danced in the pot as someone carefully cooked, preparing a meal to regain their strength. Lisa appeared gracefully amidst the golden leaves, her smile bringing warmth and familiarity to Ryo. Lisa's eyes gleamed with excitement, eager to test her strength in the dangerous domain. Blood dripped from Chen Yan's hand, the pain reminding him of his helplessness in battle. His vision blurred as blood trickled from his mouth, the enemy's power overwhelming him. Dark energy wrapped around him, his enemy mocking his strength as if it meant nothing. Struggling to move, he clenched his fists, knowing he was still too weak to fight. His foe's fiery blade rose high, ready to claim his head without hesitation or remorse. A blinding explosion filled the sky, flames engulfing everything as darkness swallowed his thoughts. Chen Yan's eyes snapped open, cold sweat dripping, another nightmare of his inevitable defeat. He sat upright in bed, staring at the familiar cracked ceiling of his shelter. Memories of the past haunted him, forcing him to rethink his approach to survival. If history repeated itself, he would meet that monster again, or something even worse. Beside him, Kexen lay unconscious, her breath faint, struggling against the poison inside her. The medicine he retrieved only delayed the inevitable. Her condition worsened with each passing day. The cursed energy inside her veins hadn't faded, it was spreading, devouring her strength. Every moment she remained in a coma drained her, making survival less certain. Chen Yan clenched his fists. He had to enter the next domain before it was too late. The towering skyline shimmered under the morning sun as Chen Yan approached the massive training hall. He stopped at the entrance, staring at the words Fighting Hall, a place for awakened fighters. His heartbeat steadied. This was the first step toward gaining real combat experience and survival skills. His enhanced senses made him stronger, but past battles showed him the limits of raw strength. Walking inside, he saw fighters sparring intensely, their movements precise. He was nowhere near them yet. He clenched his fists without proper training. Future fights would only become harder and deadlier. His footstep echoed as he crossed the threshold, determined to push beyond his current limits. Inside, dozens of fighters trained vigorously, moving faster and stronger than any normal human. His stomach twisted. Was everyone here an awakened fighter? Could he even keep up with them? Before he could think further, someone approached him, their gaze sizing him up curiously. The man's presence was overwhelming, his aura radiating strength far beyond anything Chen Yan had felt before. Everyone in the hall was classified by strength, ranked from the weakest to the strongest. Chen Yan sighed, knowing his rank would be at the bottom, just another weakling among giants. He needed training, but the cost was high. Could he even afford to stay here? As he hesitated, he realized this was just another challenge he had to overcome. Chen Yan hesitated before making the payment, knowing there was no turning back now. Thankfully, he had exchanged enough energy stones beforehand, otherwise, he couldn't afford this training. Wearing the martial arts uniform, he tightened his belt, adjusting to the unfamiliar outfit. Standing barefoot on the wooden floor, he felt the weight of what was coming next. A sudden voice called his name, making his focus sharpen as he turned around. Lisa, a bright and confident coach, stood before him, smiling with a determined gaze. Chen Yan's mind blanked for a moment. He hadn't expected a female instructor. His cheeks flushed, but he quickly shook off his thoughts, feeling slightly awkward. Lisa moved first, her speed shocking him. She was much faster than he anticipated. Before he could react, her figure blurred, closing the distance in an instant. A sharp movement, and before he knew it, Chen Yan was slammed onto the floor. Lisa hovered over him, her purple eyes locked onto his with fierce confidence. Her overwhelming skill was undeniable. He had no chance to counter her attack. Lying on the floor, he was stunned by how easily he had been defeated. As their eyes met, a strange familiarity tugged at his mind. Had they met before? Lisa's movements were sharp and confident. She was among the top 3 fighters in the hall. Chen Yan flinched as she taunted him, her energy overwhelming compared to his inexperience. Despite her strength, a question lingered. Why was someone of her skill coaching a beginner? The realization hit him. No one else wanted this position, leaving her with no choice. Lisa smirked, acknowledging his sharp observation, while the other trainees continued sparring around them. The gap between their abilities was undeniable. Chen Yan had no way to match her skills. No matter how hard he trained, defeating someone of Lisa's caliber seemed impossible. She admitted being stuck coaching weaker fighters due to her own limitations as an F-class. For once, she was excited to train someone at her level instead of observing stronger fighters. Then, without warning, she invited him to an upcoming domain raid with elite fighters. Chen Yan hesitated. Why was she suddenly bringing him into such a dangerous opportunity? Lisa continued talking, completely ignoring his hesitation, making plans as if he had already agreed. A memory surfaced. He had seen Lisa before, but under entirely different circumstances. Flames surrounded her figure in his mind. She wasn't just any fighter. She was a legend. His eyes widened in realization. Lisa was a fire-aligned awakened. But why was she F-class? Lisa once stood among the strongest, a fire-aligned awakened who fought in deadly battles. She was thrown into a world-class raid, barely surviving against an overwhelming monster's strength. Her entire team fell, leaving her alone against an enemy that was beyond their level. Despite injuries, she stood her ground, knowing this battle would define her future. Now she smiled brightly in the training hall, hiding the weight of her past. Lisa's presence in the hall turned heads. An F-class fighter training a new student was unusual. Other trainees mocked the idea of her taking on such a weak student like Chen Yan. Despite the teasing, Lisa remained unfazed, confident that effort mattered more than rank. Chen Yan hesitated. Joining the training meant stepping into a battle he wasn't prepared for. But deep down, he knew if he wanted to survive, he had no other choice. For a week, Lisa took a break from responsibilities to focus solely on training. Chen Yan trained relentlessly, feeling his body adapt, though progress was painfully slow. Each sparring match tested his endurance, forcing him to think and react under pressure. Lisa's attacks came from unpredictable angles, leaving him struggling to defend against her speed. After another defeat, he lay on the floor, realizing just how strong Lisa truly was. Chen Yan gasped for breath, his body aching after another intense round of training. Lisa handed him a break, allowing him to catch his breath before the next session. Despite being F-class, her combat skills were on another level, making him question rankings. The system triggered a level up, confirming that intense training accelerated his growth significantly. Lisa, unfazed by rankings, continued training, but the reality of an F-class lifespan loomed. Chen Yan knew Lisa's second awakening was inevitable. Her potential was far greater than F-class. If he could help trigger it early, she might escape the fate of weak fighters. The system warned him revealing future events as a reincarnator would cause unpredictable consequences. He gritted his teeth, realizing he had to guide Lisa without directly altering fate. Determined, he prepared himself. There had to be another way to awaken her powers. Lisa launched a sudden kick, her speed catching Chen Yan off guard once again. He barely reacted before he was thrown through the air, landing hard on the mat. Lisa paused, noticing something. Chen Yan was learning her moves faster than before. Even in defeat, he was improving, adjusting, analyzing, and preparing to counter her next attack. With newfound resolve, he got up, determined to push beyond his current limits. Lisa watched in disbelief. Chen Yan, once struggling, was now dodging and countering her attacks. His progress was abnormal, growing at a speed far beyond a typical F-class fighter. Even so, he still lacked refined technique, something Lisa knew all too well. Outside, the domain entrance stood quiet, blending into the ordinary surroundings. The group gathered, preparing for what seemed like just another routine domain raid. A seasoned fighter smirked, explaining that the real danger couldn't be seen from outside. The domain stretched deep into the tunnel, hiding unknown horrors beneath its deceptive appearance. Some questioned whether F-class fighters should even be entering such a dangerous place. A crystal orb was handed over. It would darken as magical energy in the domain increased. Despite reassurances, tension lingered in the air. No one could predict what awaited inside. The crystal glowed brightly, indicating the domain was currently stable and seemingly safe. As long as it remained steady, they believed no immediate danger would appear. One fighter confidently declared he could handle any threats lurking in the tunnel. Chen Yan listened, uncertain. Was this truly just another simple expedition? The excitement of the group was clear, but deep down, something felt off. Lisa reassured the group, standing confidently, promising to protect everyone from any threats. A sudden tug on her hair made her yelp, momentarily losing her composed demeanor. Inside the domain, glowing mushrooms covered the ground, casting an eerie blue light. Lisa examined them closely, realizing they might be mutated and potentially dangerous. A chilling presence filled the air. Something in the darkness was approaching fast. A monstrous horde emerged, their glowing red eyes locking onto the intruders. The creatures shrieked, their movements erratic as they swarmed toward the group. Lisa reacted instantly, launching an attack to intercept their first assault. A sharp claw barely missed her, but the battle was just beginning. Chen Yan turned. Worried, Lisa stood firm, but was she truly unharmed? Lisa's breath hitched as blood stained her clothes. Something inside her stirred, awakening violently. Lisa felt a chill as she faced the looming presence, her heartbeat racing uncontrollably. Jin noticed Lisa's hesitation, sensing her fear, but she quickly forced a reassuring smile. The group moved cautiously. Jin observed Lisa's unease, understanding her struggle to stay composed. A sneering voice cut through the tense air, mocking their abilities with condescending arrogance. Jin clenched his fists, recognizing the contempt in the man's eyes, but stayed silent. The glowing orbs flickered ominously, casting eerie shadows as the cavern swallowed their presence whole. The man smirked, boasting about his dominance, asserting his strength over the uncertain crowd. Lisa hesitated, doubt creeping in, but she steeled herself, determined to move forward. Jin's mind raced, analyzing the situation, knowing he needed to stay vigilant and careful. The cavern stretched endlessly before them, a silent reminder that danger lurked within its depths. The arrogant man spoke of energy spots, fueling his confidence in the cavern's strange environment. Glowing pools pulsed with energy, but the hidden threats within remained an unsettling mystery. Jin narrowed his eyes, realizing survival depended not on arrogance, but on calculated decisions. Lisa observed quietly, her instincts warning that something about this place felt eerily unnatural. Without hesitation, Jin motioned for Lisa to follow. The journey had only just begun. The group whispered, debating their next move, while tension thickened in the dim cavern. A sinister smile appeared as he mocked their hesitation, relishing the control he wielded. A sudden attack struck fiercely, crimson blood splattering as Lisa gasped in horror. Pain seared through her shoulder, but she forced herself to stay standing. A monstrous roar echoed, shaking the cavern as fear gripped everyone present. Lisa's scream broke through the chaos, her eyes widening in sheer terror. A mysterious energy surged within her, awakening something deep inside her soul. Jin leapt forward, dodging the beast's relentless charge with practiced agility. The monstrous creature lunged, its glowing eyes locked onto Lisa's trembling form. Lisa collapsed onto the glowing ground, overwhelmed by doubt and exhaustion. Jin stepped forward, his voice steady as he reassured Lisa amidst the turmoil. He reminded her that strength wasn't just about power, but the will to fight. Lisa clutched her hands, determination flickering as she absorbed Jin's words. Jin's gaze held conviction, his past hardships pushing him to stand firm. No matter the fear, he vowed never to run away again. Jin's words struck Lisa, making her realize she needed a purpose to grow stronger. Lisa's heart pounded, unsure how to respond, her emotions tangled between doubt and determination. Her cheeks flushed as she struggled to process Jin's words, overwhelmed by sudden embarrassment. Jin remained composed, offering his hand, unaware of the awkwardness Lisa felt inside. Strange glowing mushrooms pulsed nearby, their presence adding an eerie glow to the cavern. A sudden shift in the air made Jin alert, his instincts warning of danger ahead. A monstrous plant creature emerged, its gaping maw revealing sharp, venomous fangs. Lisa gasped, stepping back as the creature's tendrils lashed violently toward them. Jin assessed the threat, noting its sluggish movements but still remaining cautious. Lisa hesitated, her instincts screaming that something about this creature felt deeply unsettling. Jin's expression darkened, his gut warning him that this wasn't an ordinary beast. Lisa clenched her fists, sensing an ominous energy radiating from the monstrous plant. Jin motioned for Lisa to stay back, choosing to observe the creature's behavior first. Lisa swallowed hard, her pulse racing as she tried to suppress her growing fear. The plant shuddered violently, its body shifting unnaturally, revealing a hidden and terrifying transformation. Flames crackled fiercely as Jin and Lisa hid, the heat searing through the cavern air. Lisa's eyes widened in disbelief as the monstrous plant suddenly vanished without a trace. Jin remained tense, sensing an ominous presence lingering despite the creature's apparent destruction. He whispered for Lisa to stay hidden, wary of any unseen danger still lurking. After 10 long minutes, the oppressive atmosphere finally lifted, allowing them to breathe again. Jin's heart pounded as a desperate scream echoed, sending chills down his spine. Agonizing screams echoed through the cavern, sending chills down Jin and Lisa's spines. Lisa turned to Jin, panic rising as they wondered what had happened to their group. The horrifying cries hinted at something far more dangerous lurking in the darkness. Lisa questioned their safety, though Jin remained cautious, sensing an unusual energy. Jin silenced Lisa with a firm gesture, realizing the ominous presence had returned. The monstrous plant reappeared, its tendrils glowing with an eerie blood-red hue. Lisa's heart pounded as she recognized someone familiar standing across the cavern. Relief flooded Lisa's face as she spotted Kai, assuming safety had finally arrived. A smug smirk appeared as sinister intentions lurked beneath Kai's composed demeanor. Kai spoke confidently, as though everything had unfolded exactly as he had planned. A mocking voice broke the tension, revealing a deeper, hidden agenda within Kai's actions. Kai admitted orchestrating the situation, viewing the weaker members as disposable. Lisa's breath hitched, betrayal sinking in as she realized Kai had deceived them. Jin narrowed his eyes, sensing Kai's overwhelming confidence in controlling the mutated creature. Lisa's world shattered. Someone she trusted had been manipulating events from the start. Kai's words echoed in Lisa's mind, his past encouragement now feeling like a cruel illusion. A forced smile masked Kai's true intentions, his deceptive nature finally unraveling. Lisa trembled, realizing she had been nothing more than a pawn in his game. Meanwhile, two figures stood confused, questioning why the mutated creature hadn't devoured its victims. One of them narrowed his eyes, sensing something unnatural about the situation unfolding before them. Strange glowing mushrooms pulsed ominously, their energy distorting the air in an unnatural way. A chilling growl echoed from the shadows, freezing everyone in place. Kai turned sharply, startled by the deep, guttural noise reverberating through the chamber. A massive, demonic creature emerged, its crimson eyes locked onto the intruders. A deafening supersonic blast erupted, sending shockwaves that forced everyone to shield themselves. Jin held Lisa close, his mind racing at the sudden shift in danger. The monstrous bat flared its wings, crackling energy pulsating violently around its body. A reckless fighter lunged forward, determined to take down the creature alone. Kai's voice rang out, warning against rash actions, but it was too late. The beast struck mercilessly, its devastating power sending its target flying across the cavern. The monstrous bat roared, its red aura distorting the air as it lunged viciously. A devastating shockwave pulsed outward, shaking the cavern walls with its deafening intensity. The enemy's crimson eyes burned with malevolence, locking onto its next target. Ice energy erupted, clashing against the monstrous force, freezing parts of the battlefield. Jin's heart pounded. Someone among them possessed unexpected power, but could they control it? A smirk formed as Kai marveled at his opponent's resistance, intrigued by the challenge. The bat screeched in fury, its wings slashing through the frozen air with deadly force. Energy crackled as a sudden attack struck, sending Kai reeling backward in shock. The beast lashed out, tearing through flesh with its corrupted, blood-stained claws. Kai's body crashed into the ground, his overconfidence shattered in an instant. Blood pooled beneath Kai as his expression twisted in agony, his strength failing rapidly. Lisa's hands trembled, witnessing the brutal scene, unable to tear her eyes away. Jin swiftly covered Lisa's eyes, urging her to stay composed amidst the chaos. His voice remained firm. Panic would lead to their downfall in this perilous moment. Doubt filled Jin's mind. Why were they encountering such diverse, evolving threats in this domain? Jin's eyes widened as he realized the glowing mushrooms had mysteriously multiplied around them. A creeping realization dawned. These mushrooms emitted an unusual energy, fueling the chaotic environment. Jin turned to Lisa, his mind racing for a solution amidst the overwhelming tension. Flames erupted as Lisa focused, determined to burn away the mushroom's strange influence. The fire illuminated Jin's face as hope flickered. This might be their chance to escape. A thick mist swirled as the mutated beast's true form began to materialize. A colossal serpent emerged, its glowing eyes locking onto Jin and Lisa with predatory intent. Ronan and his companion discover a mysterious energy source pulsating with dark, ominous power. The energy, sealed for centuries, begins to break free, its purple light illuminating the cavern. Ronan realizes it is protected by an energy cage, yet its power still leaks out. His companion senses danger. It seems the entity inside is actively breaking the containment seal. Suddenly, a massive shadow emerges as the ground shatters, revealing a monstrous serpent of darkness. Ronan clenches his fists. Wasn't this entity supposed to be dormant? Not actively resisting capture? The serpent lunges, its glowing fangs aimed at Ronan, forcing him to leap aside. With swift precision, Ronan dodges its strike, sensing the overwhelming power radiating from its form. The serpent twists aggressively, its energy crackling, striking everything in its path with raw fury. Ronan barely evades a devastating blow, feeling the shockwave of energy blast past his face. Exhausted, Ronan struggles to regain his footing, knowing the battle isn't over just yet. The serpent's energy weakens. His companion realizes they must either finish it now or retreat. Ronan contemplates their options, knowing that hesitation could mean certain doom for both of them. A desperate plan forms. His companion insists there's no other way to seal the beast. With a determined gaze, Ronan steps forward, accepting the only path forward, fight or perish. Ronan clenches his fists, realizing they have no alternative but to face the monster head-on. He spots vines growing nearby. If he reaches them, he might escape the immediate danger. His eyes sharpen with determination as he lunges forward, aiming for the life-saving vines. Lisa shouts in alarm, but the attack is too fast, striking Ronan violently. He crashes to the ground, pain surging through his body as darkness threatens his vision. Gritting his teeth, Ronan forces himself up, his hand desperately stretching toward the vines. A system notification flashes. His latent ability activates, unlocking the power of sensing control. The monstrous serpent coils, its eyes glowing with rage as it prepares for another strike. Ronan steadies himself, knowing this is the moment to turn the tide in battle. He calls out to Lisa, signaling that it's time to execute their desperate plan. Lisa hesitates, fear gripping her, but she remembers why she came. This is her purpose. She doubts her strength but knows she cannot afford to hesitate any longer. Ronan reassures her, knowing their only chance lies in working together without fear. Flames ignite in Lisa's hands, her resolve hardening as she readies her attack. Despite her fear, she steps forward, determined to unleash her full power on the beast. Flames engulf the massive serpent, its agonizing screech echoing as Lisa's attack strikes true. Blood drips from Lisa's lips, exhaustion setting in, but she refuses to back down. Ronan watches, realizing they have only moments before the beast retaliates with full force. The serpent roars, breaking free from the flames, its rage intensifying with every second. Lisa gasps, barely dodging as the beast lunges forward, swiping through the air violently. Ronan's heart pounds. Lisa is hurt, and the monster refuses to fall despite their efforts. The serpent rises again, its shadow looming over them, radiating overwhelming energy. Desperation fills Ronan's eyes. What if their entire plan had been flawed from the beginning? A flicker of realization strikes him as he recognizes the glowing patterns on its body. He stares at the light. Could the serpent be an illusion formed by external forces? The beast lunges again, its fangs closing in as Ronan narrowly evades the attack. A sudden energy surge throws him backward, sending him crashing hard against the stone floor. His fingers graze the ground, brushing against a swirling mass of unfamiliar purple energy. He gasps, sensing the true nature of the illusion. Something is manipulating their perception. Looking ahead, his eyes widen as the serpent twists, revealing a mysterious glowing core. Ronan crashes to the ground, his body aching, purple energy swirling violently around him. Blood drips from his lips, realization dawning as he understands the serpent's true nature. The monstrous form shifts, revealing its real shape, its energy pulsating in rhythmic waves. No wonder flames failed. This was never a creature but an entity beyond physical form. Ronan grits his teeth, pushing himself up, energy crackling around him as determination resurfaces. He leaps toward the beast, fists charged with energy, determined to pierce through its illusion. His strikes land, but the serpent remains unfazed. Its body is as solid as stone. Ronan dodges, narrowly escaping as the serpent's tendrils lash out, aiming for his heart. Frustration builds, but he refuses to surrender, eyes burning with newfound resolve. A system notification flashes. His latent skill, sensing control, has finally activated in desperation. The monstrous form surged forward, purple energy swirling, revealing a glowing core deep within. Chen Yan spotted the anomaly, its mana reservoir, a weak spot hidden in the swirling chaos. Blood dripped as he clenched his jaw. He had to strike, despite the pain. Dodging fiercely, he eyed the core again, calculating a leap, but the creature's speed overwhelmed him. Determined, Chen Yan steadied himself. The monster roared, but he wasn't backing down this time. Rio gasped, blood trailing down. Why didn't he retreat? The question echoed in his mind. With forceful momentum, Rio lunged forward, a last-ditch kick aimed at Chen Yan's vulnerable side. Chen Yan twisted midair, narrowly avoiding the strike, his instincts guiding him through danger. Rio's grip tightened, halting Chen Yan's movement. His frustration boiled over with a single shout. Chen Yan winced under the scolding but couldn't help but chuckle at Rio's unwavering resolve. Chen Yan smirked, explaining his strategy. But Rio's glare made it clear he wasn't impressed. A single hit could send him flying, but Chen Yan risked it for the perfect opening. Rio's rage flared. Dodging wasn't enough. He needed Chen Yan to fight, not avoid defeat. Steel met strength. Chen Yan's blade clashed fiercely. Understanding Rio's lesson running wasn't always option. The purple beast loomed again, but Chen Yan stood tall. Giving up simply wasn't in him. Chen Yan's energy surged, golden light wrapping around him, determination burning fiercely in his eyes. Vines erupted from the ground, swirling around Chen Yan, amplifying his strength with nature's force. The monstrous figure writhed as vines coiled tighter, its core now fully exposed to attack. Chen Yan leaped high, aiming straight for the glowing core, his blade ready to strike. Landing with force, he plunged his weapon deep, anchoring himself against the creature's violent thrashing. Chen Yan marveled at his strength. Each level up had drastically sharpened his physical abilities. Flashes of past training with Lisa filled his mind. Her techniques had built his foundation. Gripping tightly, he twisted the abyssal tendrils, using brute force to pull himself closer. His fingers tightened around the core, confidence swelling. This moment felt effortless. Victory was within reach. With one precise thrust, his blade pierced the heart, knowing the giant's weakness lay there. Chen Yan steadied his breathing, focusing strength into the blade as lightning sparked around him. With swift precision, he aimed, the blade shimmering. This was decisive strike he'd prepared for. Locking eyes with the writhing beast, he whispered a promise before delivering the final blow. The blade plunged deep, energy coursing through it as the monster's core shattered violently. A deafening roar echoed as the colossal beast crumbled, its corrupted form dissolving into nothingness. The giant snake's body exploded into shards, purple fragments scattering violently across the battlefield. Chen Yan leaped backward, narrowly avoiding the debris as the earth trembled beneath him. A system message appeared, confirming victory, each word echoing the reward of hard-fought survival. Chen Yan exhaled deeply, relief washing over him. He had survived once again. Amidst the ruins, a glowing blue crystal emerged, pulsing with energy, catching Chen Yan's attention. A golden energy core materialized, swirling with power. Its value sparked Chen Yan's curiosity. He carefully examined the core, wondering about its potential worth and hidden abilities. Energy spiraled upward as Chen Yan held it, feeling its immense strength radiate through him. His eyes widened as the core merged, granting him a new, powerful psychic ability. A system message confirmed his gained psychic attack with a strategic cooldown for future battles. Holding the glowing flame, Chen Yan realized energy cores could grant rare and unexpected skills. Despite his curiosity, he focused on Lisa, prioritizing her safety over newfound power. Rushing to her side, he gently supported her weakened frame, guiding her to safety. Lisa's strength waned, her words soft but heavy with emotion, clinging to fading hope. Chen Yan tightened his hold, feeling her coldness, vowing silently to never let her fall. Chen Yan clutched Lisa tightly, refusing to let go as her strength gradually faded away. Her voice softened, gratitude in her tone, as she felt the warmth of his embrace. Chen Yan's heart raced. He couldn't bear the thought of losing someone he deeply cared for. A powerful surge ignited within him. A system notification flashed. Vitality transfer had been unlocked. With newfound determination, all basic skills unlocked, Chen vowed to protect Lisa no matter what. Chen Yan's hands glowed as the vitality transfer activated, golden energy flowing into Lisa's body. The radiant light encircled her, mending wounds and restoring her fading life force. Slowly, Lisa's body lifted, golden streams surrounding her as strength returned to her limbs. She gasped, breathing deeply as vitality surged, her body healing faster than Chen Yan anticipated. Chen Yan watched in awe, relieved as Lisa opened her eyes, life fully restored. Sunlight pierced the window as Chen Yan's eyes shot open, confusion clouding his thoughts. He sat up abruptly, the sterile hospital room disorienting, memories flooding back in pieces. Panic struck as he called out for Lisa, fearing the worst after the intense battle. Looking around, emptiness echoed through the room. Questions swirled. How did he end up here? The weight of missing memories settled in, leaving Chen with unsettling thoughts of what happened. Chen Yan's heart pounded, panic rising. Was Lisa's revival real, or just a cruel illusion? Chen Yan staggered out of bed, a strange dizziness clouding his thoughts with heavy disorientation. Despite the weakness, urgency pulled him forward. He needed to find Lisa before it was too late. His heart raced as he opened the door, shocked to see Lisa standing before him. Her calm demeanor felt off, yet relief washed over him seeing her seemingly unharmed. But something was wrong. Lisa's aura felt strange, shadows swirling beneath her warm expression. Overcome by emotion, Chen Yan rushed in, hugging Lisa tightly, relief flooding through his veins. Her gentle touch startled him, and for a moment, he doubted if this was real. Embarrassed, he apologized quickly, but Lisa brushed it off, her smile masking deeper feelings. A hospital's reflection shimmered outside. Chen Yan's mind raced, piecing together missing fragments of past. Lisa sat beside him, explaining how she awoke healed, while Chen Yan remained unconscious. Memories flashed Lisa struggling to carry Chen Yan's injured body from the crumbling battlefield. Despite exhaustion, she refused to leave him behind, determination etched into her strained features. But Chen Yan's weight made each step agonizing, forcing her to slow down. Her body trembled under the effort, but she clenched her jaw, refusing to give up. Finally, she dragged him out of the collapsing cavern, collapsing beside him in relief. Chen Yan scratched his head, feeling awkward about collapsing earlier, though Lisa seemed amused. Lisa waved it off, her playful smirk returning as she teased him about the hug. Chen Yan blushed, fumbling for an excuse, though Lisa's smile only grew wider. She suddenly grew curious, questioning his unexpected healing ability, something she hadn't noticed before. Her eyes sparkled with intrigue, impressed by the hidden strength Chen Yan unknowingly revealed. Chen Yan froze, realizing he had unintentionally revealed a skill he didn't know he had. Thoughts raced. Was it an awakening or some latent ability triggered in a desperate moment? Lisa leaned in, explaining how unusual skills like his weren't common and sparked curiosity. The room grew heavy with tension as Chen Yan recalled dark organizations exploiting unique abilities. Chen Yan's voice lowered. It was safer if fewer people knew about his healing skill. Lisa agreed, warning that if powerful groups found out, they'd definitely come after him. She explained how unique abilities like his could tip the balance of dangerous conflicts. Chen Yan chuckled nervously. Admitting secrecy was best. He had no desire for unwanted attention. Visions of dark figures flashed through his mind, sinister smiles lurking in the shadows. Lisa reassured him, promising not to reveal anything, but teasingly hinted he was special. Lisa's playful smirk faded when Chen Yan's words caught her off guard, leaving her flustered. Chen Yan panicked, trying to explain himself, but only made the situation more awkward. Lisa recovered quickly, brushing it off, though her cheeks still held a faint blush. She stepped toward the door, mentioning her plan to meet someone about the recent mission. Before leaving, she reassured Chen Yan, hinting that the incident hadn't drawn unwanted attention yet. Chen Yan felt relieved but couldn't shake the uneasy feeling lingering in his chest. Lisa exited the room, her confident smile fading as she leaned against the hallway wall. Her thoughts swirled with worry. Something about the recent events didn't sit right with her. Meanwhile, in a sleek office, a man reviewed a report on the incident's aftermath. His sharp gaze narrowed as he mulled over inconsistencies, suspicions rising about the survivors. He tapped the document. 2 Class C managers were dead, but 2 unknown survivors escaped unharmed. It felt off. His intuition screamed there was more to the story than simple luck. Despite doubts, he ordered investigators to dig deeper into Chen Yan and Lisa's backgrounds. Meanwhile, Chen Yan discharged himself, eager to avoid drawing attention to his hidden abilities. As he stepped outside, a familiar voice called out his little sister, overjoyed to see him. Rio hugged his sister tightly, relieved she was safe after everything they had been through. Standing shirtless, Rio noticed his wounds healed faster, likely due to leveling up recently. He reflected on acquiring the psychic attack skill and the newly unlocked vitality transfer skill. The system displayed details of vitality transfer, allowing Rio to draw life from surrounding beings. Smiling confidently, Rio planned to get stronger, knowing survival depended on mastering these skills. Holding a golden energy stone, Rio pondered selling it to gain valuable resources. He decided against selling it through official channels, opting for the black market instead. Despite the apocalypse not fully erupting, underground markets thrived in the city's shadows. Disguised, Rio offered the energy stone to a black market dealer, staying cautious. The dealer handed Rio a form, asking for his account number to complete the transaction. Rio checked the screen, heart racing, surprised to see the payment deposited instantly without delay. Shocked by the speed, Rio quickly grabbed his phone, fearing someone might be tracking transaction. Chen Yan stared at his phone, shocked by the massive sum now in his account. His disbelief deepened, wondering if there was a typo in the transfer or some mistake. The appraiser calmly explained the stone's rarity, its value far beyond Chen Yan's expectations. The woman offered to process the item if he preferred. Sensing his hesitation to sell it, Chen Yan politely declined the alternative, thanking her before exiting quickly, still stunned by his fortune. Chen Yan pondered how the money could solve their housing issue and improve their daily lives. Dreaming of a fresh start, he thought of buying a new place with better amenities. Yet, his thoughts shifted. Koharu would probably prefer a place closer to school and safer. Prioritizing safety, he decided the money should fund essentials and stockpile necessary resources before chaos. At the store, he focused on a weapon, the elementalized knife, enhancing attack, speed, and power. Standing outside the fighting hall, Chen Yan prepared himself, knowing strength was key to survival. The empty hall echoed as he stepped inside, his mind racing through combat tactics and strategies. Activating his skill, Chen Yan felt his energy surge, the aura around him growing denser. Every muscle tensed as his internal strength flowed outward, amplifying his reflexes and physical power. His opponent charged, energy crackling, but Chen Yan stood his ground, ready to strike decisively. The opponent's fist slammed down, cracking the floor, but Chen Yan had already dodged with precision. Wide-eyed, the attacker realized Chen Yan wasn't just strong, he was dangerously unpredictable in combat. Lian rushed in, concern evident, but Chen Yan reassured her, keeping his composure despite the tension. He confronted Lian about hiding the truth, realizing she'd downplayed the situation to keep him calm. Her guilt was clear, but she admitted she only wanted to shield him from unnecessary worries. The furious fighter demanded answers, clearly rattled by Chen Yan's calm defiance and unexpected strength. Chen Yan ignored the threat, focusing on Lian's safety while gauging the enemy's reckless aggression. The opponent revealed his brutal tactics, openly boasting about intimidating others and controlling the local fighters. Chen Yan quickly recognized the deeper corruption, understanding that this fight was about more than pride. He positioned Lian behind him, vowing to end this conflict before it spiraled out of control. With a confident smile, Chen Yan assured Lian he had everything under control, there was no need to worry. He analyzed the opponent's skill level, realizing the early warning signs of aggressive yet predictable combat styles. Chen Yan recalled their last encounter, where victory had been hard-fought, but today, he was stronger. Facing the cocky fighter again, Chen Yan now held the advantage, his refined skills giving him control. Proposing a bet, Chen Yan raised the stakes. If he won, the bully would leave Lian alone. Chen Yan faced the jeering fighters, their mocking laughter ringing out as they underestimated his quiet confidence. One of the opponents stepped forward, accepting the challenge with a smirk, sure of an easy win. Chen Yan didn't flinch, his calm demeanor hinting at hidden strength, surprising the overconfident fighter. Onlookers buzzed with excitement, doubting Chen Yan's chances, but curious about what he had planned. Lian watched closely. Trusting Chen Yan's instincts, he never acted recklessly without a clear strategy in mind. The opponent sneered, doubting Chen Yan's chances, convinced an F-class couldn't overpower a C-class fighter. Chen Yan's aura surged, lightning crackling around him as he gripped his blade, ready to dominate. A massive bear-shaped aura erupted, the opponent summoning his full strength to intimidate Chen Yan. Chen Yan dashed forward, his speed blurring as he easily evaded the overwhelming spiritual attack. His swift footwork closed the distance, a burst of energy propelling him past the raging force. Pivoting sharply, Chen Yan circled his opponent, analyzing weaknesses while maintaining his blistering speed. Observers gasped his speed wasn't normal. It was like he was defying the laws of physics. The enemy taunted Chen Yan, frustrated by his evasive moves, mistaking them for cowardice. Chen Yan launched upward, blue energy swirling as he prepared a decisive counterattack. The opponent grinned, thinking Chen Yan had fallen into his trap, but it was miscalculated. In an instant, Chen Yan redirected his energy mid-air, propelling himself toward his opponent. His blade, crackling with power, clashed hard, sending shockwaves through the entire training hall. Lian watched silently, realizing Chen Yan's strategy exploited timing and precision, not brute strength. Chen Yan dodged another attack and focused, knowing his leveled-up skills would turn the tide. Channeling energy into his blade, he executed a high-speed slash, aimed directly at the opponent. The strike landed cleanly, knocking the enemy off balance as blood sprayed across the arena. The opponent flew backward, crashing against the wall, unable to comprehend how he was defeated. Lian gasped, astonished as Chen Yan overpowered a C-class opponent with a single swift blow. The onlookers murmured, suspecting Chen Yan possessed a hidden artifact or an unknown power. Chen Yan's energy surged, crackling blue lightning forming as he braced for the next opponent. A sinister aura twisted into form, summoning dark energy as his enemy prepared a brutal attack. Chen Yan darted forward, unwavering, pushing through the ominous force with sheer determination. Purple energy slashed through the air as the opponent struck, but Chen Yan evaded gracefully. In a flash, the enemy disappeared, using speed-enhancing techniques to blindside Chen Yan. Yet Chen Yan calmly turned, already sensing his enemy's presence lurking in the dark mist. Smirking, Chen Yan called out the opponent's failed stealth, revealing his heightened battle awareness. With a confident stance, Chen Yan dared the enemy to back down or risk absolute defeat. The opponent hesitated, but pride kept him rooted, unwilling to concede defeat so easily. Chen Yan recognized the enemy's desperation, realizing he planned to unleash a devastating final move. Dark energy spiraled upward as the opponent conjured a vortex, aiming to trap Chen Yan. Chen Yan countered, charging his blade with blue energy, striking directly into the swirling chaos. The arena trembled as both forces collided, light and darkness battling for absolute dominance. Chen Yan's energy clashed violently with his opponent's, the vortex swirling with chaotic force. Lian observed closely. Realizing Chen Yan wasn't attacking blindly, he was channeling the energy inward. The opponent's face twisted in shock as Chen Yan's blade pierced through his defenses with ease. The impact sent the opponent flying, crashing hard into the ground, the fight ending decisively. Chen Yan stood tall, brushing off dust, marking his second victory without a single misstep. The crowd whispered nervously, realizing Chen Yan had become a true threat in the arena. His next challenger stepped forward, sensing the rising tension and eager to prove his strength. The fighter lunged forward, power surging, aiming a crushing blow toward Chen Yan's torso. Chen Yan barely sidestepped but felt the force graze him, leaving a tingling sensation behind. Gritting his teeth, Chen Yan acknowledged the opponent's speed, knowing he couldn't dodge forever. The fighter roared, refusing to back down, his energy spiraling wildly with destructive intent. Dust clouds erupted as his attack shattered the floor, the shockwave reverberating across the hall. Lian gasped. Seeing the widening gap in strength, Chen Yan faced overwhelming odds now. Chen Yan steadied himself, knowing underestimating the opponent could lead to a quick defeat. The challenger surged again, his aura blazing, declaring the dominance of his C-class power. Chen Yan's eyes widened in shock, realizing the overwhelming power behind his opponent's relentless attack. The impact launched him backward, slamming into the wall as energy crackled violently around him. Breathing heavily, Chen acknowledged the danger. If that strike had landed fully, he'd be finished. He steadied himself, dodging swiftly, knowing he couldn't afford to stay defensive much longer. With renewed determination, Chen Yan surged forward, energy flaring as he prepared a decisive counterattack. Chen Yan clenched his fists, scanning every movement, determined to uncover his opponent's hidden weakness. Chen Yan clenched his fists, feeling the heavy weight of power surge through him. Lightning danced around him as he summoned a massive energy blade, crackling with raw force. The blade erupted, illuminating the battlefield as Chen Yan braced against its overwhelming power. Despite the strain, he realized the last attack barely scratched the enemy's hardened defenses. But then, he noticed something. The first strike had caused an unexpected ripple in energy. Chen Yan analyzed the energy flow, realizing it fluctuated during repeated attacks, revealing potential weaknesses. His eyes widened, understanding that consistent pressure was the key to breaking the defense. The enemy prepared another strike, energy gathering into devastating form, aiming to end this fast. But Chen Yan acted first, dashing through the storm, his aura blazing brighter than before. Surprised, enemy faltered, watching Chen Yan pierce through the defense with a final decisive blow. With fiery determination, Chen Yan's fist glowed, ready to end this brutal battle once and for all. He lunged forward, a golden trail marking his path, aiming directly for the enemy's core. Shock flashed across the enemy's face as Chen Yan's strike connected with unrelenting force. The enemy stumbled backward, unable to comprehend the sheer intensity from an F-class fighter. Chen Yan stood tall as the enemy crashed down, his energy slowly dissipating into the air. Chen Yan's strike connected, forcing opponent back, his energy flickering as he struggled to recover. With a swift move, Chen Yan pinned the opponent down, seizing control of the fight. Standing tall, Chen Yan acknowledged his strength, knowing survival demanded more than sheer brute force. The others, astonished by his skill, silently vowed to train harder before the next competition. His rivals, though defeated, promised a rematch, already planning for the upcoming dojo tournament. A sudden warning broke the calm. Chen Yan instinctively braced as danger surged from behind. Spinning quickly, he dodged the first strike, but more opponents lunged at him without hesitation. Using precise footwork, he evaded their coordinated attack, shifting the momentum in his favor. Yet a dark energy blade struck him off guard, leaving a deep gash across his side. Blood splattered as Chen Yan staggered, the unexpected wound intensifying the tension in the dojo. Fueled by pain, Chen Yan retaliated with raw energy, pushing back the enemy with brutal force. The dojo floor cracked beneath them as the battle escalated into a chaotic, energy-fueled clash. The enemy glared, his aura surging, refusing to yield despite Chen Yan's growing advantage. From the sidelines, Lisa readied a spell, her concern for Chen Yan outweighing the rules. Another observer restrained her, reminding Lisa that interference could jeopardize the integrity of the duel. Lisa's anger flared, seeing the unfair fight escalate beyond the supposed one-on-one challenge. The enemy mocked her concerns, justifying the gang-up due to Chen Yan's low-tier classification. From the sidelines, onlookers watched silently, unsure whether to intervene or respect the dojo rules. Chen Yan was slammed to the ground, struggling against the overwhelming pressure pinning him down. Clenching his teeth, Chen Yan realized he had no choice but to use the psychic attack. A surge of energy erupted as Chen Yan triggered the rare psychic attack skill in desperation. The enemy staggered, disoriented by the sudden mental intrusion disrupting his focus mid-fight. Shadows loomed around him, conjuring a terrifying vision that blurred reality and illusion. A massive spectral beast emerged, its glowing eyes fixating on the stunned opponent. Chen Yan, behind him, whispered the command, forcing the apparition to strike with terrifying precision. The phantom serpent lunged, its massive fangs sinking into the opponent's consciousness with a jarring impact. Screaming, the enemy crumpled, frantically clawing at the air, trying to escape the mental onslaught. Staggering back, he waved his hands wildly, warning everyone to stay away from the phantom. Desperate and trembling, he begged for help, his confidence shattered by the haunting illusion. Lisa, watching closely, realized his fear was genuine. He had seen something truly horrifying. Chen Yan faced the two attackers, blood dripping as he prepared for another relentless onslaught. Wounded but determined, he stood his ground, unwilling to retreat despite the growing disadvantage. The attackers closed in, their confidence rising, but Chen Yan's resolve burned stronger than ever. Remembering past training, he focused on controlling his breathing, steadying his mind amidst the chaos. A vision of the ancient tree appeared, reminding him of his deeper purpose and strength. Chen Yan slammed fist into the ground, unleashing a powerful shockwave of golden energy outward. The entire building trembled violently, windows rattling as the ground quaked under the intense force. Chaos erupted as dojo trembled, forcing students to flee, leaving Chen Yan surrounded by danger. Chen Yan's aura flared as he unleashed a spiraling attack, knocking back his closest opponent. The energy overwhelmed him, forcing Chen Yan backward as the fiery spiral twisted uncontrollably. Lisa and others watched in horror, powerless as the duel escalated beyond anyone's control. Chen Yan crashed against the wall, bloodied but determined, locking eyes with the aggressive mentor. The mentor froze, realizing Chen Yan's strike had left a deep wound, shocking everyone. Chen Yan staggered but stood tall, pushing through the pain as the system activated. A brilliant screen appeared, announcing Chen Yan's level up, unlocking access to higher-tier abilities. Grinning, Chen Yan whispered thanks, feeling power surge as Lisa rushed to his side. She pulled him into a relieved hug, overjoyed that he survived the brutal battle. Lisa, shaken but relieved, scolded Chen Yan gently, masking her worry with a stern face. Chen Yan chuckled before dizziness hit, his body finally reacting to the intense strain. Lisa caught him instantly, offering support as Chen Yan leaned into her for balance. The crowd whispered in disbelief, struggling to grasp how a newcomer defeated the seasoned mentor. Jealousy flared among some, but most were simply stunned by Chen Yan's unexpected strength. Whispers filled the room as news spread the president had arrived, causing immediate tension. One by one, the students realized the gravity of the situation and started backing away. A strange, oppressive energy filled the dojo, making it hard for anyone to breathe. The old man slammed his cane, demanding answers for the dojo's chaotic state. Chen Yan and Lisa exchanged worried glances, unsure how this unexpected turn would unfold. Lisa explained that the dojo might be sold, the future uncertain for everyone here. Chen Yan frowned, realizing they'd lose their training ground unless someone intervened quickly. The situation escalated as the old man's assistant questioned who caused the visible damage. Tension peaked when fingers pointed at Chen Yan, despite his efforts to protect the dojo. Lisa's heart sank, knowing the blame could cost them their only training sanctuary. Chen Yan stepped forward, surprising everyone by offering to take responsibility for the dojo's state. The assistant scoffed, revealing dojo's value 30 million yen, an astronomical price for Chen Yan. Without hesitation, Chen Yan agreed to buy it, stunning everyone with his bold confidence. Gasps echoed through the dojo as they questioned how a newcomer could afford such a price. The assistant, still skeptical, demanded proof, doubting Chen Yan's ability to back his promise. Chen Yan announced the dojo now belonged to Lisa, stunning everyone with his unexpected generosity. Lisa blinked in disbelief as Chen Yan casually declared the entire training hall was hers. The crowd gasped, shock rippling through them at Chen Yan's sudden, game-changing decision. Chen Yan explained Lisa now had full authority over the dojo, including its strict rules. The crowd stood silent, processing the power shift as Chen Yan and Lisa stood united. Under the sun's soft light, Chen Yan staggered forward, his body barely holding together. Lisa supported him, concern evident as blood trailed from his deepening wound. Chen Yan suddenly collapsed, leaving Lisa panicked as she struggled to keep him conscious. Desperate, Lisa led him toward a familiar tree, knowing it might be his only hope. Reaching the tree, Chen Yan pressed his hand against it, seeking the healing energy within. A faint glow emerged as the tree responded, wrapping Chen Yan in a healing aura. Lisa watched in awe as golden light surrounded him, slowly mending his critical wounds. Her eyes widened. This wasn't just Chen Yan's skill, the tree itself was helping him. The tree's energy surged, creating a beautiful spectacle as Chen Yan floated within its glow. Fully healed, Chen Yan whispered gratitude to the ancient tree before stepping away, revitalized. Chen Yan apologized, feeling guilty for not explaining sooner why he transferred ownership of Hall. Lisa hesitated, unsure if she could accept the dojo without earning it properly herself. Chen Yan insisted, knowing Lisa was the perfect leader to manage and improve the dojo. He encouraged her to recruit based on character, aiming to build a truly united team. Lisa's past achievements surfaced though F-class, she was chosen as party leader for her wisdom. Deep underground, rumors spread of Lisa's rising power, as enemies planned their next ambush. Lisa, unaware of looming threats, dreamed of strengthening the team and achieving something remarkable. Chen Yan, sensing her passion, hesitated before gently refusing her offer to join the team. Despite the refusal, he smiled, knowing Lisa's path was destined for something even greater. Subai unleashed a fierce storm of energy, his opponent bracing against the howling winds. The force shattered the arena floor, sending shockwaves that made the audience gasp in awe. His opponent retaliated with a dazzling counterattack, clashing against the spiraling tempest of power. Subai's beast absorbed the attack, radiating a divine aura that overwhelmed the battlefield. Observers speculated if this was the true extent of Subai's strength or just the beginning. The opponent wielded a brilliant silver blade, its radiance splitting the sky with devastating force. Flames erupted upon impact, scorching the battlefield as Subai maneuvered to counter the strike. He dodged swiftly, using the storm's momentum to create an opening in his enemy's defense. Experts watching from afar recognized the technique, understanding its devastating potential in real combat. Subai's next move had to be decisive, a display of overwhelming power and absolute control. Another silver strike descended, the sheer force carving through the air with terrifying speed. Subai countered with a wind-infused slash, colliding against the attack in a stunning display. His opponent's stance wavered, struggling against the sheer pressure of Subai's overwhelming power. The final impact shattered the battlefield, leaving only one warrior standing as the dust settled. Subai stood victorious, his strength now undeniable, proving his dominance in the ultimate battle. The match ended, leaving spectators in shock at the overwhelming strength displayed in battle. Discussions erupted, questioning the necessity of such power in a simple martial arts match. The defeated warrior struggled to stand, his exhaustion evident as he acknowledged his loss. Victory was declared, and the next contenders prepared to step onto the battlefield. The anticipation grew as a fierce new competitor readied himself for the upcoming fight. A new match began, tension rising as the fighters sized each other up carefully. One fighter exuded confidence, his stance showing the experience of countless previous battles. The air grew thick with energy as the warrior unleashed his first aggressive strike. A massive vertical slash cut through the battlefield, aiming directly at the opponent's defense. The challenger barely deflected the attack, his composure unshaken despite the overwhelming force. A flurry of strikes followed, both warriors exchanging powerful blows at incredible speed. The opponent smirked, enjoying the thrill of battle, pushing his attacks even further. The relentless assault continued, forcing the defender to block with every ounce of strength. Spectators watched in disbelief, the fight intensifying into a brutal display of martial prowess. Tensions escalated as the academy leaders debated whether to intervene in the dangerous duel. The battle continued, the defeated warrior refusing to surrender despite his injuries and exhaustion. His opponent grinned, sensing the desperation in his rival's unwillingness to accept defeat. A dark aura surrounded the victor, overwhelming the battlefield with a terrifying presence. The fallen warrior trembled, his consciousness fading as his body collapsed onto the ground. The audience watched in stunned silence, realizing the brutality of this martial competition. The spectators debated the necessity of such merciless combat, questioning the ethics of the match. Victory was declared, marking the first round's conclusion with a display of ruthless dominance. The next challenger stepped forward, eager to face the reigning champion and prove his strength. With an air of confidence, he promised to bring down his formidable opponent. The match began, both fighters preparing for another intense clash of martial mastery. The warrior unleashed a deadly blade technique, slicing through the air with incredible precision. His opponent countered instantly, forming a defensive stance against the relentless assault. A crimson vortex erupted, pulling the attacker into a storm of violent energy. The spectators gasped at the sheer force displayed, witnessing an unimaginable level of combat. The battle intensified, neither fighter willing to back down as the duel reached its peak. The warrior swung his blade fiercely, his attack filled with confidence and overwhelming force. His opponent smirked, parrying with ease, deflecting the strike like it was nothing. Locked in combat, their weapons clashed repeatedly, neither willing to yield or step back. The challenger refused to acknowledge defeat, his determination burning despite the dire situation. A sudden counterattack pierced through the battlefield, deciding the victor in a single decisive strike. And strain. Lisa caught him instantly, offering support as Chen Yan leaned into her for balance. The crowd whispered in disbelief, struggling to grasp how a newcomer defeated the seasoned mentor. Jealousy flared among some, but most were simple. The fight escalated as one warrior grabbed his opponent, attempting to land a decisive blow. He fought desperately, fueled by anger, determined to strike down his arrogant enemy. His opponent countered, reversing the attack with precise movements, turning the tide instantly. Desperation turned to fear as the defeated warrior begged for mercy, realizing his impending fate. The principal intervened, halting the match and declaring the victor with a firm decision. The shocking conclusion left the spectators murmuring about the unexpected defeat of the powerful contender. Tensions rose as accusations of dishonor were thrown, sparking a deeper rivalry between the academies. The next challenger emerged, stepping forward with unwavering confidence to restore his school's pride. With fierce determination, he vowed to claim victory and challenge the strongest opponents ahead. The second round began, with both fighters prepared to unleash their full power without hesitation. The crowd erupted with excitement as the strongest contender, Subai, entered the battlefield. He stood firm, carrying the expectations of his school, prepared to teach his rivals a lesson. The atmosphere grew tense as the battle for dominance between the two academies intensified. The rival fighters exchanged words, the challenge set, their reputations now at stake. The final clash loomed, with Subai ready to fight, determined to claim absolute victory. Tension grew as the challenge was issued, demanding an apology for past humiliations. One warrior stepped forward, eager to prove Jiangzhou's strength and defend their honor. The battlefield was set, and both warriors faced each other with unwavering determination. The challenger smirked, dismissing the idea of apologizing to his so-called weaker opponents. Subai stood firm, unfazed by arrogance, prepared to settle everything through strength. The duel commenced, but Subai found himself facing not one, but two skilled fighters. Spectators gasped, questioning if Jiangzhou's strongest contender could handle such an overwhelming challenge. The rivals activated their martial techniques, radiating an intense aura of power and dominance. Twin blades, infused with elemental energy, slashed through the air, cutting toward Subai. The fight escalated, pushing Subai to unleash a level of strength never seen before. The legendary Millennium Cold Iron swords gleamed, forged from rare, powerful beast cores. The opponent's technique, inherited from Modu's strongest warrior, was feared across martial academies. Power surged as Subai faced overwhelming force, but his resolve remained unshaken. He smirked, casting aside his beasts, deciding to fight purely with his own strength. His body crackled with energy, his presence commanding the battlefield as anticipation reached its peak. The opponent charged forward, his blade burning with power, aiming to finish the fight instantly. Subai remained calm, watching his opponent's reckless approach with sharp, calculating eyes. Energy surged as Subai activated his elemental spirits, surrounding himself with unstoppable force. The battlefield erupted with power, as both fighters prepared for their ultimate clash. With a fierce glare, Subai lunged forward, determined to end this battle decisively. A brutal clash sent shockwaves across the arena, shaking the ground with overwhelming force. The spectators gasped, stunned by the sheer speed and precision of Subai's movements. His opponent struggled to keep up, realizing the vast difference in their raw abilities. Discussions erupted, questioning how a beast tamer could fight so fiercely without his creatures. Subai's dominance became clear as he effortlessly dodged and countered each powerful attack. The opponent roared, unleashing his strongest technique, a fiery breath attack of destruction. Subai smirked, vanishing instantly, moving at speeds beyond human comprehension. With one swift motion, he struck, landing multiple devastating blows in rapid succession. The opponent staggered, unable to defend, completely overwhelmed by the relentless assault. Subai stood victorious, proving that true strength lay within, not just in summoned beasts. Subai stood firm, his swift strikes delivering decisive counter against his opponent's reckless charge. He smirked, feeling the thrill of battle, ready to unleash even more overwhelming strength. Understanding its devastating potential in real combat, Subai's next move had to be decisive, a display of overwhelming power and absolute. The ritual began, thick mist swirling as the elder counted each bow with solemn precision. Li Huowang knelt, paying respects, solidifying his place as the chosen disciple of the sect. The master's declaration sealed his status, marking him as the most trusted among the disciples. The crowd erupted in celebration, acknowledging his newfound position with respectful bows. Amid the cheers, a silent figure watched, hidden resentment flickering behind cautious eyes. Bai Ling Miao's expression remained unreadable, her thoughts veiled behind an unwavering gaze. Li Huowang was summoned, while the others were dismissed without further instructions. This was the moment, the path to true immortality now within his reach. The master's voice carried weight, promising guidance toward the long-coveted enlightenment. His gaze fell upon an ancient scripture, its presence radiating an eerie yet powerful aura. Green energy surged as the master activated the scripture, its symbols glowing ominously. The air crackled, mystical runes wrapping around the stone tablet like living tendrils. The elder's voice remained steady, urging Li Huowang to decipher the celestial markings. The scripture pulsed with power, demanding understanding from whoever dared to interpret it. Li Huowang stepped forward, ready to unravel the secrets hidden within the ancient text. Li Huowang's fingers traced the scripture, realizing past cultivation methods were mere fabrications. A sense of urgency settled in. Failure to understand could expose his hidden secret. Determined, he resolved to challenge everything rather than follow blindly. The elder observed him, acknowledging his disciple's comprehension of the mysterious text. A sharp warning followed, demanding immediate disclosure of any discovered insights. Doubt crept in as Li Huowang questioned the missing blood-nourishing elixir recipe. The elder's expression darkened, momentarily caught off guard by the unexpected realization. The scripture revealed its true nature, an intricate guide to an ancient cultivation technique. To achieve immortality, consuming various elixirs was necessary during a critical celestial alignment. The required ingredients were listed, including cinnabar, silver, and an unsettling mention of arsenic. The final requirement was shocking, a human soul, refined as the last essential ingredient. Suspicion filled the air as Li Huowang questioned the significance of the sinister component. The elder's realization dawned. This scripture was an ever-changing enigma, impossible to fully grasp. His frustration erupted, accusing past disciples of deception, preventing him from attaining true immortality. He turned toward Li Huowang, wary of another potential betrayal unfolding before him. Li Huowang spoke with confidence, declaring that the cultivation path was the only true way. He insisted on his sincerity, claiming deception held no value in pursuing immortality. The elder remained silent, observing Li Huowang's unwavering determination without immediate response. A grin spread across the elder's face as he demanded an explanation of the technique. He decided to master the method himself before refining additional elixirs for immortality. The master's grin widened while Li Huowang's eyes gleaming as dark energy coiled around them. Strike like it was nothing. Locked in combat, their weapons clashed repeatedly, neither willing to yield or step back. The challenger refused to acknowledge defeat, his determination burning despite the dire situation. A sudden counterattack pierced through the battlefield, deciding the victor in a single decisive strike. And strain. Lisa caught him instantly, offering support as Chen Yan leaned into her for balance. The crowd whispered in disbelief, struggling to grasp how a newcomer defeated the seasoned mentor. Jealousy flared among some, but most were simply stunned by the fight escalated as one warrior grabbed his opponent, attempting to land a decisive blow. He fought desperately, fueled by anger, determined to strike down his arrogant enemy. His opponent countered, reversing the attack with precise movements, turning the tide instantly. Desperation turned to fear as the defeated warrior begged for mercy, realizing his impending fate. The principal intervened, halting the match and declaring the victor with a firm decision. The shocking conclusion left the spectators murmuring about the unexpected defeat of the powerful contender. Tensions rose as accusations of dishonor were thrown, sparking a deeper rivalry between the academies. The next challenger emerged, stepping forward with unwavering confidence to restore his school's pride. With fierce determination, he vowed to claim. Ryo led the group through the dense forest, scanning the surroundings as sunlight filtered through the thick canopy above. Yuna paused, eyeing the ruins ahead with suspicion. Something about the eerie stillness made her uneasy, instincts warning of danger. A sudden impact sent her stumbling. Before she could react, a hand gripped her wrist, pulling her off balance. Ryo swiftly caught her, his grip firm as he lifted her effortlessly. He held her as if expecting this outcome. He smirked, amused. Yuna frowned, annoyed at his unpredictability. He moved too precisely, as if always a step ahead. Yuna clenched her fists. How did Ryo always react so quickly? His confidence irritated her more than the fall itself. His movements were too calculated. He never hesitated, as if predicting everything before it happened. That realization unsettled her. If he could read her so easily, what else did he already know? The thought lingered in her mind. Ryo watched her reaction, as if waiting for her to figure something out. The silent tension between them thickened. His relaxed stance only fueled her frustration. While she overanalyzed everything, he treated the situation as nothing more than a game. A group approached, led by Takuto. He walked confidently, his sharp gaze assessing the others, particularly Rio. Takuto nodded, acknowledging his exhaustion but refusing to show weakness. He had recovered enough to continue fighting if needed. Rio studied him, recognizing the resilience in his stance. There was talent behind Takuto's bold words, one he wouldn't dismiss. They exchanged glances, an unspoken understanding forming between them. Strength alone didn't earn respect, determination did. With tensions easing, the group continued forward, their trust growing. Whatever awaited them ahead, they would face it together. The senior led the group across the vast field, his sharp eyes scanning the open land under the bright blue sky. Takuto tightened his grip on his weapon, sensing something unusual. Yuna frowned, feeling uneasy as they approached their destination. The group halted, realizing the domain's entrance was near. The senior remained cautious, unsure where their real challenge would emerge from. A sudden force in the sky made the senior's eyes widen. A massive golden bird descended, its energy crackling dangerously around it. Yuna staggered back as the bird's wings stirred powerful winds, sending dust flying and shaking the ground beneath them. The bird flapped its glowing wings, creating a violent storm. The senior braced himself as debris and forceful gusts surrounded them. Takuto raised his arm, shielding his face from the dust. The bird's movement sent shockwaves through the battlefield, shaking everything. Yuna struggled to keep her footing as the winds intensified. The beast's radiant form radiated a suffocating heat around them. The senior assessed the situation quickly, realizing the beast's power restricted their movements. Their attacks would be difficult under these conditions. Takuto clenched his fists, knowing they had little choice. If they hesitated, the others would be unable to land decisive blows. Yuna channeled energy into her hands, preparing to reinforce their attacks. The air around her crackled with concentrated power. The senior signaled to Takuto, who quickly adjusted his stance. They had one chance to break through the beast's defense. Takuto launched forward, flames surging around his fists. He charged straight toward the bird, determined to strike before it countered. Yuna strengthened Takuto's momentum, her energy amplifying his attack. The golden beast screeched, reacting to the sudden surge of power. The impact sent a shockwave rippling through the battlefield. The ground trembled as their combined assault clashed against the radiant beast. The senior lunged forward, his weapon slicing through the storm of energy. The golden bird screeched, its wings dispersing violent shockwaves. Takuto's attack struck the beast's chest, causing golden sparks to scatter. The monstrous bird flapped harder, trying to stay airborne. Ryo's eyes widened as a strange purple force engulfed the battlefield. A sudden shift in energy sent chills through him. The swirling darkness wrapped around him, lifting him into the air. His body tensed as an ominous force pulled him downward. Ryo crashed into the unknown void, his surroundings shifting into an eerie, suffocating purple mist that clouded his vision. Ryo landed inside the mysterious domain, surrounded by swirling darkness. The oppressive force made every movement feel sluggish and heavy. He steadied himself, scanning the eerie surroundings. His instincts screamed danger as the ominous energy pulsed around him like a heartbeat. Dark figures flickered through the mist, their presence unsettling. Ryo realized the golden beast had trapped him in another space. He gathered his energy, blue flames surging around him. If he didn't act quickly, he would be overwhelmed by unseen enemies. The air crackled as he unleashed a powerful burst of energy. The suffocating darkness trembled, revealing faint glimpses of his surroundings. Ryo stood surrounded by swirling blue energy. His body felt lighter as immense power surged through him, sharpening his senses instantly. A glowing notification flashed before his eyes. His strength had increased, but the oppressive domain still pulsed with a sinister presence. A monstrous creature lunged from the shadows. Its red eyes gleamed with hunger as sharp claws slashed toward its next target. Yuna gasped, fear gripping her chest. The beast rushed forward, closing the distance between them faster than she expected. The academy grounds remained peaceful as the lesson concluded. Students prepared to leave, their thoughts still occupied by the lecture's content. Keely placed the assignments on the desk. She reminded everyone to submit their work on time before dismissing the class. With a bright smile, Keely clasped her hands. Her enthusiasm made even a strict lesson feel more engaging and enjoyable. As she left the podium, students waved excitedly. Keely's energy had left a lasting impression on everyone attending her class. The classroom buzzed with excitement. Some students admired Keely, while others whispered about upcoming challenges and the next practical session. Xiao Ying turned with an intense gaze. She wanted to know if the students had actually learned anything valuable from class. Li Cade and others hesitated. The realization hit that they had been too distracted, forgetting to absorb the essential details. The playful atmosphere quickly faded. Xiao Ying reminded them that the upcoming F-level dungeon practical would determine their academic performance. Jin Haoyan casually leaned back, noticing that even Xiao Ying had moments where she completely lost focus on the lesson. Li Cade looked shocked. The reality of the upcoming practical settled in. The next test was arriving faster than expected. Xiao Ying stood confidently, explaining the requirements. Anyone with a 2-star awakening or guild license could enter the upcoming dungeon. The dungeon chosen by the academy was beginner-friendly. However, guides were available for those who needed extra preparation and support. Raising her hand, Xiao Ying emphasized the importance of teamwork. Even a low-level dungeon required strategy and coordination for success. Jin Haoyan listened, amused. He overheard whispers about an exceptional student among them, someone with an impressive awakening level. Li Cade stiffened, eyes widening. The mention of a high-star student caught his attention. He needed to know exactly who. Li Cade widened his eyes in surprise, realizing that someone unexpected had joined their class. He wasn't alone in his shock. Xiao Ying raised an eyebrow, unimpressed. She wondered how Li Cade could always notice teachers but fail to recognize classmates. Her gaze sharpened, locking onto the entrance. Something about this moment felt different, making her instincts heighten almost immediately. The sound of approaching footsteps filled the room, causing an unusual tension. Everyone turned to see who had just arrived. A striking woman with long silver hair entered. Her confident presence alone made the room fall silent in an instant. Xiao Ying blinked in recognition, her mind racing. It was someone they had all heard of but never seen up close. The realization settled in. Jin Haoyan turned his head, already knowing that today's lesson had just become far more interesting. Qin Feifei, the mysterious prodigy, had arrived. Her calm yet dominant presence sent ripples through the students, making them uneasy. Everyone whispered in awe. Qin Feifei wasn't just another freshman. She had a reputation far beyond the academy's walls. Her mere existence shattered expectations. The weight of her reputation created an aura that made her seem untouchable to others. Qin Feifei's past remained mysterious. She had once fought against terrifying forces that even experienced warriors struggled to face. At only 20 years old, Qin Feifei had already carved her name into history as an unparalleled combat genius. Countless monsters had fallen before her, their strength meaningless against her overwhelming power. Her battles had shaped legends of their own. A swirling vortex of energy formed in her hand. The sheer intensity of her abilities left no room for doubt. Her strength was undeniable, yet something lingered beneath it. A hidden burden weighed upon her, unseen by those around her. Lightning flashed across the darkened sky. The storm raged violently, reflecting the chaos that had unfolded on the battlefield below. A massive spear stained with blood was lodged into the ground. The remnants of battle remained scattered amidst the ruins. A warrior knelt over a fallen comrade. His breathing was ragged as he clutched the injured figure, desperation filling his eyes. The man whispered a final request. His trembling hands held onto the unconscious girl, urging the survivor to protect her always. Standing in the storm, the warrior turned away. With heavy steps, he walked into the ruined city, burdened by sorrow. Jin Haoyan snapped back to reality. A sense of unease lingered as he tried to shake the haunting memory from his mind. Xiao Ying grabbed his arm, pulling him forward. The hallway bustled with students, yet his mind remained elsewhere, distracted and distant. Xiao Ying narrowed her eyes, noticing his dazed expression. She questioned his sudden distraction, urging him to focus on moving ahead. Jin Haoyan forced a smile, dismissing his thoughts. He pushed aside his lingering doubts and followed the group without hesitation. From behind, Qin Feifei stopped momentarily. She sensed something strange, turning her head slightly as if someone was watching her closely. Qin Feifei touched her necklace, deep in thought. A memory flickered through her mind, but she quickly dismissed the feeling. Within the reflection of her pendant, an image appeared. A fleeting memory of warmth and sorrow intertwined in her thoughts. Qin Feifei exhaled, trying to focus. Perhaps she was imagining things. She refused to let unnecessary distractions cloud her judgment. Laughing softly, she masked her unease. Turning to her companions, she changed the subject, brushing aside her moment of doubt. The group arrived at a grand restaurant. The atmosphere shifted as they prepared to leave behind their worries, if only temporarily. Jin Haoyan took a bite of his burger, confused. He wondered why they were eating out instead of studying. The group sat around the table. Jin Haoyan raised an eyebrow, questioning why they had been dragged outside unexpectedly. Xiao Ying smiled mischievously, holding a skewer. She claimed there was something more important than studying they needed to handle first. Jin Haoyan hesitated before taking another bite. He sensed something unusual about Xiao Ying's sudden change in plans. Xiao Ying casually scrolled through her phone, waiting. Her excitement hinted that something unexpected was about to unfold soon. Jin Haoyan watched her closely. Xiao Ying smirked, keeping them in suspense as she refused to reveal her true intentions. A sharp knock on the door echoed. Someone had just entered, immediately drawing everyone's attention to the restaurant entrance. A red-haired man stepped forward, his confident presence radiating strength. His fitted uniform hinted at his high-ranking status. Jin Haoyan blinked in disbelief. He recognized the man immediately, his presence bringing back memories of past encounters. Xiao Ying grinned knowingly. She had orchestrated this entire moment, anticipating their reaction to the unexpected arrival. Strange blue spears hovered above the fallen beast. Rio stood frozen, sensing an unnatural force disrupting the battlefield's balance. The senior clutched a glowing purple crystal. His expression twisted with satisfaction as he admired the artifact's pulsing energy in his hands. Rio narrowed his eyes, analyzing the scene. Energy cores typically shattered after death, but this one remained disturbingly intact. His senses sharpened further, detecting something unnatural. The flow of power felt unbroken, as if an external force controlled the battlefield. The surrounding barrier remained untouched. Rio's growing unease hinted at something much larger unfolding beyond what they had anticipated. A mysterious flower shimmered with an eerie glow. Rio studied it, realizing its presence should have disappeared after the battle. He knelt, carefully examining the petals. Something about its essence connected directly to the lingering energy that refused to dissipate. The senior raised his hand, summoning an ominous violet light. The swirling energy condensed, forming a distinct signal radiating across the battlefield. The strange force responded instantly. The crystal pulsed violently as a surge of power erupted, distorting the air around him. In the distance, others noticed the disturbance. Concerned eyes turned toward the phenomenon, sensing something far more dangerous approaching rapidly. The violet light expanded wildly, spiraling upward. Rio's heart pounded as he realized something had been deliberately set in motion. He took a cautious step forward, observing as the senior's expression shifted. Something beyond the visible spectrum was reacting to the energy. Another figure stood within the swirling force. His eyes gleamed with recognition, as if he had been waiting for this moment. Rio's instincts screamed a warning. Whatever had been triggered was far beyond what they had anticipated in this encounter. Shock rippled through the group as the air crackled with pressure. The battlefield was no longer under their control anymore. Takuto's eyes widened in shock as he saw Yuna frozen in fear. Something about the unfolding situation felt terribly wrong. The senior's movements were precise as he struck, his expression unreadable. Yuna gasped, watching helplessly as the brutal attack landed. The victim's body flew backward from the force, blood spraying across the battlefield. The overwhelming power sent chills through everyone watching. A surge of purple energy rippled through the air, distorting reality. Takuto clenched his fists, struggling to comprehend what happened. His voice thundered across the battlefield as he stepped forward. The betrayal burned deep, fueling his resolve to face the senior. A dark vortex swirled around the senior, its ominous energy pulling everything closer. The sheer intensity made movement almost impossible. Takuto's limbs felt sluggish, his body resisting against the heavy magical force. The air thickened, trapping him within its grasp. The senior smirked, standing effortlessly within the chaotic storm. His control over the energy field made resistance seem entirely futile. Takuto gritted his teeth, forcing himself to move. Every inch forward took immense effort as the pressure weighed him down. Others watched from the distance, unable to intervene. The battlefield had shifted, making escape or assistance nearly impossible. The senior approached Takuto, his expression unreadable. The lingering power in the air sent a clear message his dominance was absolute. Takuto remained still, unwilling to react too soon. He searched for an opportunity, knowing any reckless action could be fatal. The senior sighed, appearing unimpressed. The tension grew heavier, an invisible force pressing down on the surroundings with growing intensity. Takuto's breath hitched as the senior suddenly attacked. A sharp impact landed against his body, sending a jolt of pain through him. His vision blurred momentarily, but he steadied himself. He refused to collapse, knowing the battle was far from over. A glowing spear of blue energy hovered above as the senior's grip tightened. The power surge sent a chill through everyone watching. The spear struck with force, sending an explosive shockwave outward. The ground cracked beneath them, shaking from the intense impact. Dust and debris settled as Takuto staggered, struggling to regain his stance. His body ached from resisting the overwhelming force. The senior's eyes narrowed, his expression unreadable. Despite everything, he remained unaffected, standing tall while others barely held themselves together. Yuna rushed forward, concern in her eyes. Something about the way the senior moved now felt eerily different from before. Rio's instincts screamed at him as he analyzed the situation. The man before them was no longer their trusted senior. Yuna's breath hitched as she noticed more inconsistencies. The way he stood, his presence it all felt unsettlingly unfamiliar. Rio clenched his fists, piecing together the deception. His mind replayed past events, realizing how perfectly the illusion had worked. The senior's smirk widened as if amused. He had been waiting for them to figure it out, letting the truth settle. The battlefield grew unnervingly silent. Rio's realization came too late. This had all been orchestrated from the very beginning. Rio exhaled sharply, gripping his weapon. If his theory was right, they had already walked into a deadly trap. The senior's form flickered momentarily, a distorted energy rippling across his body. The air grew heavier as something unnatural took shape. His transformation began, his body twisting as waves of dark energy pulsed outward. The illusion finally shattered before their very eyes. A monstrous figure emerged, towering over them. The once human presence was now an abomination, radiating immense power and pure malice. Rio's pulse quickened as he steadied himself. Whatever stood before them was far more dangerous than they had imagined. Yuna's voice trembled as she questioned the creature. A humanoid monster speaking their language made the situation even more terrifying. The monstrous figure grinned, its glowing eyes locking onto them. The revelation of its mimicry left an unsettling feeling in everyone. It stepped forward, radiating overwhelming energy. The mention of consuming an energy core revealed its true motives behind the deception. The battlefield remained eerily silent as Rio stood firm. The creature's presence confirmed the missing senior had already been defeated. A sudden strike sent an unfortunate warrior flying. The sheer force crushed his defenses, proving the monstrous opponent was overwhelmingly powerful. Blood pooled beneath the senior as realization struck. His fading vision fixated on the monstrous figure towering over him with a grin. The creature loomed closer, speaking with eerie confidence. Its hunger drove it forward, seeking to reclaim what had once been lost. A brutal attack followed, sharp fangs sinking into the senior's flesh. The horrifying scene unfolded as the monster fed without hesitation or mercy. The senior slowly regained consciousness, his vision blurry as he saw blood pooling beneath shattered bones, the battlefield eerily silent around him. He lifted his mask slightly, scanning the area for survivors while strategizing his next move against the overwhelming danger approaching. Takuto leaned against the wall, his muscular frame battered, struggling to stay conscious while gripping his wounds, aware of the impending threat. A monstrous figure emerged, its energy radiating an ominous glow, towering over the battlefield with power beyond human comprehension. The senior clenched his fists, recognizing the overwhelming strength of his enemy, preparing for a confrontation that would decide their fate. Takuto stood his ground, muscles tensed as rage filled his expression, ready to strike despite the monstrous presence looming before them. Yuna grabbed onto Takuto, her eyes filled with concern, knowing that charging in recklessly would only lead to unnecessary sacrifice. Rio stepped forward, his silver hair illuminated under the glow of the monster's energy, determination clear in his unwavering gaze. The monstrous enemy let out a low growl, its glowing form pulsating with power, relishing the challenge placed before it. Takuto clenched his teeth, skeptical of Rio's confidence, questioning if one person alone could truly face such an overwhelming force. Rio took another step forward, his resolve unshaken, accepting the responsibility of fighting, while the others prepared to retreat. Yuna hesitated but grabbed Takuto's arm, knowing their best chance was to move the wounded, while Rio held the front. Takuto resisted, frustration evident, but the senior grabbed him, forcing him to move as Yuna and the others secured a safe retreat. The monster sneered, amused by human desperation, confident that no matter their efforts, they would eventually fall to its might. Rio's stance remained firm as energy crackled around him, signaling the beginning of a battle that would decide their survival. Rio charged forward, his blade crackling with energy, striking the monster's core as blue light erupted across the battlefield. The monster's eyes widened in shock as the devastating attack shattered its defenses, forcing it to stagger backward from the impact. The creature roared in defiance, swinging wildly, but Rio dodged effortlessly, his speed overwhelming the enemy's sluggish movements completely. Ice surged from the ground, encasing the monster's body, restricting its movements as Rio seized the moment to strike. He stood confidently, feeling his power surge as the system acknowledged his progress, rewarding him with newfound strength and increased abilities. Blood dripped from the monster's wound as it struggled to process the damage, disbelief flashing through its furious, panicked expression. Takuto peeked from behind the trees, gripping his weapon tightly, his muscles tense as he observed the battle's unpredictable outcome. Yuna's hands trembled, her mind racing with disbelief, watching Rio fight an enemy none of them had dared challenge. The monster clenched its fists, its expression shifting from anger to amusement, realizing the strength hidden within its human opponent. A twisted grin spread across its face as it acknowledged Rio's potential. Recognizing his abilities as something truly formidable, the monster turned toward Rio, its aura surging, its excitement growing as it prepared to unleash its full strength. Rio remained focused, his grip tightening, knowing hesitation would mean death against an enemy reveling in chaos and destruction. A powerful shockwave burst outward as the monster activated its full power, shaking the ground and distorting the air violently. Rio's heartbeat quickened as his mind raced for a solution, calculating his next move against the rapidly intensifying battle. Takuto shielded Yuna and the senior behind him, bracing for the impact as energy surged toward them, threatening their only chance. Rio's eyes narrowed as he realized the incoming attack carried catastrophic power, capable of erasing everything in its destructive path. Golden energy exploded outward, wrapping around the enemy's body, forming chains that surged with force, restricting its movements instantly. The monster struggled violently, its body thrashing as golden restraints tightened, radiating power that forced it to remain completely immobilized. Sparks crackled around its trapped form, golden energy weaving into an unbreakable prison, anchoring it to the ground beneath Rio's control. The monster's expression twisted in disbelief, its overwhelming strength suddenly useless against the mysterious force binding it in place. Takuto exhaled in relief, barely avoiding the golden energy sweeping past him, his instincts warning him that something felt dangerously off. The monster glared furiously, recognizing its mistake, understanding it had underestimated the opponent who dared challenge its immense power. A smirk formed on its face, arrogance returning as it flexed its muscles, testing the strength of the golden restraints. Rio moved swiftly, launching himself forward with blinding speed, seizing the opportunity while his opponent remained temporarily restrained. The battlefield shook violently as Ryo's attack closed in, the force behind his strike determined to end everything instantly. The monster roared in fury, dark energy exploding outward, shattering the golden chains as it regained full control over itself. Ryo's grip tightened, realizing the restraints weren't strong enough to suppress the terrifying power radiating from his monstrous opponent. A vortex of purple energy swirled violently, warping the air as the monster's strength grew beyond what it had displayed before. Ryo's heartbeat quickened as he observed the transformation, knowing hesitation now would mean certain defeat against the ever-growing threat. Blue energy surged around Ryo, his body reacting instinctively, preparing for the inevitable clash against an enemy who refused to fall. Ryo hovered above, surrounded by swirling purple energy, his body bracing against the overwhelming force radiating from the monstrous enemy below. Dark energy erupted outward, twisting violently through the air as Ryo gritted his teeth, preparing to counter the devastating attack. Ryo pushed forward, his arms shielding his body, while the intense pressure threatened to break his defenses with unstoppable force. Yuna's eyes widened in shock as she saw Ryo struggling, fear creeping in as she realized the battle's deadly turn. Blood dripped from Ryo's lips, but his eyes remained focused, his will unshaken as he prepared for another decisive strike. Ryo's vision blurred as blood dripped from his lips, his body weakening. Realizing something unnatural was coursing through his veins, his breathing grew unsteady while purple energy surrounded him. The enemy watching with amusement as the situation quickly turned against him. Dark energy crackled violently, distorting the air as Ryo felt an unbearable pressure weighing down, restricting his every possible movement. The monster's figure hovered above, wings spread wide, its overwhelming aura radiating dominance as Ryo struggled against the crushing force. Ryo struggled against the dark energy restraining him, his weakened body barely resisting as his enemy carried him higher into the sky. The monster grinned, confident in its victory. Holding Ryo at an altitude where any fall would result in certain death, purple energy crackled violently, distorting the air as Ryo remained suspended, unable to break free from the enemy's crushing grip. His body was suddenly released, gravity taking hold as he plummeted toward the earth, his consciousness fading from exhaustion and injury. Takuto and Yuna watched from below, horror filling their eyes as they realized the height was too great for survival. Ryo crashed into the ground, dust and debris exploding outward as the impact shook the battlefield with devastating force. A figure smirked, believing the battle was over, convinced that Ryo was nothing more than a broken warrior beneath him. The monster's dark aura pulsed, its confidence growing, proclaiming dominance over those who dared resist its overwhelming power and relentless destruction. Takuto hid behind a tree, his mind racing as he tried to process the monster's chilling words and unstoppable presence. A golden light flickered in the distance, energy gathering as an unknown force hinted at something unexpected shifting the battle's outcome. A warm glow enveloped Ryo's battered body, golden energy seeping into his wounds as his breathing steadied from near unconsciousness. His fingers twitched, realizing that instead of death, he had landed somewhere safer, unknowingly given a chance to fight once more. A system notification flickered, revealing his skill activation, revitalizing him as he slowly regained the strength needed for another confrontation. Ryo pushed himself up, golden energy circling his form, his eyes filled with renewed determination as his injuries rapidly faded away. The monster's eyes widened in confusion, sensing an unexpected shift. Realizing Ryo's fall had not resulted in the outcome it expected, the monster hovered in the air, its wings spread wide, confusion settling in as it sensed something unnatural happening below. Its gaze locked onto the battlefield, noticing the distorted trees, puzzled by the strange energy radiating from Ryo's fallen location. A golden glow flickered in the distance, spreading unnaturally, making the monster question whether something unexpected had occurred during the fall. Without warning, radiant energy surged upward at an incredible speed, catching the monster off guard as it attempted to react. Ryo propelled himself forward, golden energy surrounding his weapon, striking directly before the enemy could counter the sudden attack. The monster's eyes widened as Ryo appeared unscathed, his renewed strength completely defying the expected outcome of their previous battle. Ryo closed the distance instantly, his speed surpassing previous limits, forcing the monster into an urgent defensive stance mid-air. A system notification appeared, confirming his attempted psychic attack, but the enemy's mental defenses were too strong to be affected. Ryo's golden weapon clashed against the monster's arm, the force pushing it back as cracks formed along its hardened defenses. The monster steadied itself, now more cautious, realizing Ryo's fighting style had changed and was no longer predictable. Ryo observed his opponent, his sharp eyes analyzing every movement, searching for weaknesses that could shift the battle's outcome. The monster smirked confidently, gripping its weapon, convinced that its overwhelming power would still crush any resistance Ryo attempted. Ryo's expression remained unreadable as he sensed something strange, noticing an inconsistency within the monster's energy patterns. The monster's expression faltered slightly, recognizing Ryo's unwavering stance, unsettled by the sudden shift in atmosphere between them. Ryo's smirk deepened, golden energy crackling around him, his confidence growing as the enemy unknowingly played into his strategy. Ryo's eyes remained sharp, his words cutting deep as he exposed the instability of the monster's stolen power. The monster tensed, frustration rising as it realized Rio spoke the truth. Feeling the uncontrollable energy surging within, Rio dashed forward, his blue energy surging around him, preparing to strike before the monster could regain control. The monster's expression twisted, its arm raising instinctively, desperate to counter Rio's sudden attack. Rio crouched low, counting down in his mind, his every movement calculated as he prepared to land a decisive strike. A system notification flickered, confirming Rio's skill activation, sending a psychic wave crashing into the monster's chaotic mind. The monster's body jolted violently, its vision distorting as a powerful force dragged it into a reality beyond its control. A strange aura surrounded the monster, its body stiffening as the illusion forced its mind into unfamiliar and terrifying territory. The senior's presence appeared within the illusion, his expression cold, forcing the monster to relive a past it wanted to forget. The monster's surroundings twisted further, confusion overwhelming it as it struggled to comprehend why it was trapped in its own memory. The monster's body trembled, its muscles refusing to respond, as a crushing force overwhelmed its mind, trapping it in fear. The senior's figure loomed within the illusion, his expression unreadable, forcing the monster to confront a memory it had long forgotten. The monster flinched, stepping back instinctively, its confidence wavering as the senior's presence triggered an overwhelming sense of helplessness deep inside. A shadowed figure emerged, its eyes glowing eerily, staring directly into the monster's soul as an unseen force took control. Pain erupted through the monster's chest as energy surged, forcing its body to stagger backward, unable to comprehend the sudden attack. Rio's strike connected, piercing through the monster's body, energy crackling around his arm as he drove his attack deeper. His eyes burned with determination, focusing all his strength into his fist, ensuring the monster had no chance to resist further. The monster staggered backward, clutching its wound, shock spreading across its face as it struggled to process the devastating blow. Its body trembled, power fading, disbelief setting in as it realized its supposed dominance had been completely overturned by Rio. Rio stood tall, watching the fallen monster, sensing an unusual shift in the domain's energy as the surroundings subtly changed. The monster's grin widened, whispering of a door that would bring devastation, its weakened body trembling as darkness swirled around. Rio's eyes narrowed as he pieced together the truth, recalling memories that hinted at the domain's hidden purpose all along. Realization struck, confirming the connection between past events and the demon invasion, his resolve strengthening as his mission became crystal clear. The monster gasped as energy pierced through its chest, desperation setting in, offering secrets in exchange for survival, but too late. Rio studied the surroundings carefully, his sharp gaze fixed on the distant location. He needed to move quickly before trouble arrived. The wounded monster struggled, its deep purple skin marked with fresh wounds. It could not comprehend how Rio knew so much. With a single motion, Rio slashed through the air. The monster's body recoiled violently as energy surged through its wounds. Rio remained calm, stepping forward as the monster writhed. The battle was ending, but his focus remained unshaken. The monster clenched its teeth, its eyes burning with defiance. Despite its pain, it refused to surrender so easily. A radiant lotus glowed under the night sky, its soft petals pulsating with mysterious energy. The atmosphere felt charged with power. Rio reached out, his fingers brushing the flower's surface. A wave of energy surged forward, reacting to his presence. His weapon absorbed the energy, growing stronger. The newfound power coursed through him, sharpening his senses and heightening his awareness. A digital interface flashed before his eyes, confirming the lotus's properties. It was an essential antidote ingredient for curing deadly poison. The discovery meant there were still 5 ingredients left to find. Rio clenched his fists, knowing time was running short. The monster's breathing slowed, its massive frame trembling. Its once hostile gaze softened, as if understanding its fate was sealed. Rio stood over the creature, observing its weakened state. The monster's voice carried an unfamiliar tone, almost as if relieved. He narrowed his eyes, noticing an unusual change. The monster's personality felt different, unlike the ruthless enemies he had fought before. Kneeling beside it, Rio inspected the wounds. A strange energy pulsed within the creature, reacting to something unknown. A faint expression of peace appeared on the monster's face. In its final moments, a sense of hope. Rio knelt beside the wounded monster, sensing its fading presence. The battle was over, but something still felt unresolved. The monster's weary eyes reflected acceptance as golden light shimmered around its form. A sense of peace washed over its expression. Energy pulsed through Ryo's body, strengthening his core. His muscles tensed as newfound power spread, altering his physical limits. Golden currents spiraled around him, their warmth stabilizing his internal energy. His breathing steadied as his body adjusted to the transformation. His fingers twitched as a strange force resonated within him. The sensation was unfamiliar, yet it felt natural, like an awakening. Rio's senses sharpened as his body adapted. The shift in energy granted him greater control over the forces around him. A cool sensation wrapped around his hands. Blue energy coiled, moving fluidly as if responding to his subconscious commands. Water spiraled around his fingertips, its form shifting effortlessly. This was not ordinary power. It was something entirely beyond his understanding. His body moved instinctively as the energy surged. The new affinity expanded his abilities, reinforcing his potential in battle. The realization struck him. Every advancement brought new possibilities, and mastering them would be crucial for surviving the dangers ahead. Ryo steadied himself, feeling lighter than before. His body had undergone a change, making movement smoother and more efficient. A familiar voice called out. Turning, he saw Yuna approaching, her expression filled with concern as she studied his condition. Strength pulsed within him, making every step effortless. His physical state had improved, but there was still much to understand. Yuna's eyes widened, sensing the difference in his presence. Not only had he survived, but he had become stronger than before. His gaze shifted toward the silent battlefield. The fallen opponent marked the price of growth, a reminder of what lay ahead. Takuto clenched his fists, his muscles tensed with frustration. Despite their efforts, fate had taken a turn beyond his control. Ryo stood over the fallen monster, his expression unreadable. The battle had ended, but the weight of consequences remained. The monster's final moments carried no hatred, only acceptance. Its fading gaze reflected understanding as it spoke its last words. Takuto's hardened demeanor cracked as sorrow filled his eyes. Strength alone was never enough to protect everything, and he knew it. A painful cry pierced the air. The battlefield, once chaotic, fell silent as the burden of loss settled heavily. The morning sun bathed the clearing in golden light. The battlefield had changed, yet the scars of yesterday still lingered. Ryo stood among them, his presence no longer questioned. Takuto studied him, acknowledging the strength that had emerged. Unspoken respect passed between them. They had fought side by side, and now their paths would momentarily diverge. Ryo chose his own journey, determined to grow. Takuto nodded, understanding the road ahead required more than mere strength. As Ryo walked away, Takuto watched in silence. The future was uncertain, but he knew they would meet again. Yuna walked beside Takuto, her thoughts lingering on Ryo. His strength had grown, yet there was something still unknown. Takuto's sharp gaze narrowed as he reflected. Ryo had changed, his presence far different from before, carrying hidden depths. The realization settled among them. Ryo was no ordinary warrior. His journey carried mysteries beyond simple battles. Accepting the uncertainty, Takuto crossed his arms. Strength came with purpose, and Ryo had yet to reveal his true path. Ryo returned to his quarters, exhaustion weighing on him. The battle was over, but his journey had only begun. Ryo sat in front of the computer, his fingers moving quickly. His search had to yield the answers he needed. The information before him connected to something deeper. His instincts told him this was no coincidence but a hidden key. A mysterious energy pulsed in the distance. A sealed domain had existed unnoticed, possibly containing something crucial for his mission. The cityscape burned under a crimson sky. The horror that emerged from the sealed domain had left devastation in its wake. His heart pounded as he pieced things together. This discovery was dangerous, but he could not ignore its potential significance. Ryo's mind raced as uncertainty gripped him. The world was falling apart, and he questioned if change was even possible. The weight of responsibility pressed on him as he turned. Behind him, Koyuki had finally awakened, her presence a comforting sight. A gentle warmth filled the room as Koyuki smiled. Despite everything, she remained hopeful, bringing light to Ryo's thoughts. Ryo pushed Koyuki's wheelchair along the garden path. The warmth of sunlight made the moment feel peaceful and rare. Koyuki's energy had returned. The medicine worked, giving her strength. She smiled, grateful for a simple walk after so long. The air felt lighter as she enjoyed the moment. She had feared she would never experience something like this again. Ryo watched her happiness, realizing how much small moments mattered. The burdens he carried felt distant in this fleeting peace. A strange sensation pulled at him. In the distance, a swirling blue portal flickered ominously, breaking the tranquility of the day. Koyuki's gaze locked onto the distant portal. The sight was familiar, stirring memories of dreams she had seen repeatedly. Ryo reassured her that the situation was under control. He believed stronger individuals would soon handle the growing anomaly. Koyuki hesitated, remembering the dream. The portal had never disappeared. Instead, it expanded, unleashing endless creatures upon the world. Fear crept into her voice as she recalled the vision. The destruction she had seen felt too vivid to ignore. Ryo tightened his grip. He promised himself that no matter what, he would find a way to cure her. Ryo's mind raced. He had been so focused on Koyuki's condition that he overlooked the approaching catastrophe before them. If the world was doomed, what meaning did their struggles hold? A cure would be pointless in a world consumed by chaos. Koyuki's words lingered in his mind. Even ordinary people had a role. The thought reshaped his understanding of strength. Doubt and determination clashed within him. Could someone like him truly make a difference in preventing the disaster ahead? Elsewhere, an injured monster lay in darkness, reflecting on its past. Power had been meaningless when it failed to protect anything. Ryo stood alone, lost in thought. The weight of his decision pressed heavily, yet he knew there was no turning back. A strange energy pulsed around him. The space shifted, pulling him into a realm unknown, where light and shadows intertwined. His surroundings distorted as an unfamiliar force took hold. His mind raced, trying to understand the meaning behind this sudden change. Determination settled in his heart. If there was even a chance to stop destruction, he would seize that opportunity. The realization hit him. He had no choice but to challenge the domain and uncover the truth behind its existence. Ryo processed the information before him. The truth about the domain poison and its connection to the past was revealed. His mind reeled as he pieced things together. Every answer only led to more questions, pushing him toward an uncertain path. He exhaled sharply, knowing hesitation was no longer an option. He needed to act before the world fell into chaos. A familiar voice snapped him out of his thoughts. Koyuki's presence reminded him of the reason he kept moving forward. He turned to her, masking his concerns. The burden was his to carry alone, but he could not show weakness. The peaceful walk felt fleeting, as Ryo's mind remained elsewhere. The knowledge he carried weighed heavier with each passing moment. Koyuki's happiness was a brief comfort, but it only deepened his resolve. He had to ensure her safety at all costs. His movements slowed as realization struck. The answers he needed might not be far, but the risks were greater than ever. He made a decision. For today, they would return home, but soon, he would face the danger awaiting him. Koyuki's cheerful expression masked an underlying concern. She sensed a change in Ryo, though the reason remained unknown to her. Kosaka stood with his entourage, his presence commanding attention. Their arrival signaled an important shift, one Ryo could not ignore. Kosaka's sharp gaze analyzed the situation. Ryo's movements had been unpredictable, making it difficult to track his next course of action. Koyuki remained asleep, unaware of the growing tension. Her peaceful rest was a stark contrast to the danger lurking outside. Ryo's mind raced through past warnings. The connection between Kosaka's arrival and the domain's power became painfully clear. A dark portal swirled ominously in the distance. Whatever awaited beyond held the potential to change everything Ryo knew. Ryo sat in deep thought, his focus unwavering. Every second counted, and he needed to be stronger before facing them. Kosaka's arrival confirmed his suspicions. They had come for him, and avoiding the inevitable was no longer an option. A sudden knock at the door shattered the silence. Ryo's instincts sharpened, recognizing the presence of Kosaka and his men. His expression hardened as he stood. Their presence meant one thing: his actions had drawn attention he had hoped to avoid. The door creaked open, revealing Kosaka's composed stance. His entourage stood behind him, their motives concealed behind neutral expressions. Ryo met Kosaka's gaze, his expression unreadable. The suited men blocked the entrance, exuding an air of quiet authority. Kosaka spoke first, presenting an offer. Ryo's capabilities had not gone unnoticed, and now they sought to recruit him. Confusion flickered across Kosaka's face. Ryo had already predicted their arrival, stripping them of any element of surprise. Ryo's stance remained firm. He had no interest in their proposal, nor in becoming part of their hidden agenda. Without hesitation, he shut the door on Kosaka and his men. Their visit had ended, but the confrontation had only begun. Kosaka and his men stood cloaked in dark energy. Their presence alone made it clear they had no intention of leaving. Ryo's body tensed as blue energy surged around him. He had prepared for this moment, but the situation escalated quickly. Kosaka's expression remained unreadable as he stepped forward. He acknowledged Ryo's strength, though his own knowledge remained an advantage. Koyuki lay asleep, unaware of the looming confrontation. Her peaceful expression reminded Ryo of what he needed to protect. Ryo's resolve hardened. If avoiding conflict was impossible, he would go with them for now and wait for his chance. Kosaka led Ryo into the room, his tone composed. Ryo remained wary, knowing this meeting carried hidden dangers. The spacious conference room felt cold and calculated. Ryo observed the setting, sensing the weight of an unavoidable discussion. His gaze settled on the man waiting at the table. The atmosphere shifted as he realized who held authority here. The president greeted him with a smirk, swirling his drink. His relaxed demeanor masked an intent Ryo could not ignore. Ryo sat across from the president, scanning the luxurious office. The offer sounded promising, but caution kept him wary. His sharp gaze focused on the president, a man who had shaped the city's fate with influence and overwhelming power. Flames flickered behind the president as he exhaled smoke. Strength dictated survival, and Ryo knew he needed every advantage. The guild had endured countless hardships, thriving where others had fallen. It sought warriors capable of carving their names into history. Strength alone was insufficient. To truly thrive, one needed resources, allies, and authority. The president extended an opportunity to gain more. No one survived the apocalypse alone. Trust was a currency, and alliances determined whether one thrived or vanished into obscurity. Domains demanded teamwork. More hands meant efficiency, better gear, and access to rare resources that lone fighters could never obtain. Joining the guild would grant Ryo everything he needed. His past failures had taught him that hesitation led to regret. His previous life had revealed the truth. The guild had failed before, but this time, he would not allow it. Hunters had perished because they underestimated the dangers. Those who refused to evolve had been the first to fall. Ryo remembered everything. Nightmares still haunted him. Corpses piled on top of each other, the result of choices made too late. He had seen too much. The hunger of the desperate never ended. While survivors fought for scraps, the guild leaders continued their feast without concern. His breath caught as memories resurfaced. He had witnessed death too many times, but its weight never lessened. The president's voice interrupted his thoughts. Rio straightened, suppressing emotions that threatened to surface. He needed answers more than anything. Power had a cost. The real question was not what Rio had done, but how he had survived when others had not. Rio explained his concern about the domain. His current strength was insufficient, requiring preparation before facing a greater threat ahead. He suspected a misunderstanding about his abilities. The fight had required strategic thinking rather than raw strength to achieve victory. The president considered his words carefully. The difficulty of the domain boss was unusual, raising questions about its difference from others. Rio recalled its terrifying power. The creature's overwhelming strength had burned into his memory, leaving an unsettling impression he could not ignore. He avoided focusing on details. The experience itself had been enough to prove that something unnatural had influenced that domain's power. The president sensed hesitation in Rio's words. Trust was still missing, and doubt lingered between them despite the conversation's progress. A knock on the door interrupted the discussion. Yuna entered, her presence shifting the atmosphere and bringing unexpected tension to Rio. Rio's eyes widened upon seeing her. Her sudden appearance hinted at something important, making him question her unexpected arrival. The president revealed Yuna's information. She had spoken of Rio's battle, proving his capability despite facing an incredibly strong domain boss. Rio's thoughts raced. Yuna's involvement with the guild raised more questions, making him wonder how deeply she was connected. The president confirmed Yuna's status. She had officially joined the guild as a healer, stepping away from her previous party. Originally, the guild had wanted Takuto, but he refused, prioritizing his independence over the benefits offered by an established organization. Yuna had made her own decision. She saw the advantages of the guild and had chosen the path best for herself. The president leaned forward, exhaling smoke. He recognized Rio's intelligence and believed he already understood the best choice for survival. Rio remained silent. His thoughts weighed the offer carefully, knowing that every decision in this world carried significant consequences. Rio reflected on the battle. The domain boss had been unpredictable, forcing him to adapt quickly before facing complete destruction. Without Takuto's guidance, he doubted he could have succeeded. The encounter had relied on teamwork rather than his own sheer power. The president listened carefully. His relaxed demeanor masked deep thoughts as he weighed Rio's decision to remain independent from the guild. Yuna observed the discussion. She recognized that Rio's cautious approach came from experience, making her question his reasons for hesitation. The president understood his priorities. He knew Rio prioritized survival, but he also saw an untapped potential waiting to be shaped. Rio expressed gratitude before turning away. He had heard the offer, but uncertainty made him hesitate before making any commitments. The president watched him leave. A faint smirk played on his lips as if predicting that their paths would cross again. Rio hesitated near the door. A part of him wondered if rejecting the guild's protection would eventually lead to regret. The president's words followed him. He extended an open invitation, reminding Rio that he was always welcome to return anytime. Rio remained doubtful. Trusting an organization was risky, but walking alone carried an even greater burden in a world like this. Rio paused. A lingering thought crept into his mind. Had the president already known about his past before this meeting? He shook off the thought. Regardless of possibilities, he needed to stay cautious and avoid unnecessary entanglements that could prove dangerous. Yuna observed the president. She hesitated before questioning whether letting Rio leave without further persuasion had truly been the right choice. The president exhaled smoke. He believed survival was only possible through cooperation, though he understood why Rio resisted the guild. Yuna's eyes widened. The president's words hinted at something deeper, making her recall a younger fighter she once knew long ago. Rio walked through the city, considering his next move. He had unfinished business and could not afford any distractions now. The next day, he arrived at the black market. Hidden among the crowd, he carefully observed his surroundings before proceeding. His thoughts lingered on past failures. Leaving without preparation had been reckless before, and he refused to repeat that mistake. He searched for something valuable. If he worked harder, he could gather resources necessary for strengthening his chances in survival. Lisa's voice broke his focus. Turning sharply, Rio met her masked gaze, realizing their paths had unexpectedly crossed again. Lisa stood before Rio, her expression filled with surprise. Their unexpected reunion in this place brought back lingering uncertainties. Rio and Lisa crossed paths again. The black market held opportunities, but unexpected encounters always carried risks in this world. Lisa observed him closely. There was something about his presence here that felt unusual, making her curious about his true purpose. Rio remained calm. His expression did not waver, hiding any thoughts that might reveal the real reason for his visit. Another presence interrupted them. A comment from a merchant nearby shifted the mood, making Lisa question Rio's sudden appearance. The discussion moved elsewhere. The market was a place of business, but private matters required a more discreet setting to avoid problems. Lisa approached with a knowing expression. She understood the situation well, her presence adding another layer of complexity to the moment. Rio and Lisa stepped aside, Sorting out their priorities first was necessary before distractions could interfere with their objective here. They walked further from the market center. Discussing business in crowded spaces invited unwanted ears, something neither of them wanted now. Ryo mentioned Koyuki. His concerns were clear, and Lisa acknowledged his worries, recognizing the weight of responsibility he carried. His priorities were set. Koyuki's safety mattered above all else, and every decision he made revolved around ensuring that reality remained. Lisa retrieved something from her bag. The object glowed faintly, hinting at its magical properties that were yet to be explained. Ryo watched carefully. Items like these were not easy to acquire, meaning Lisa had access to valuable resources beyond expectations. Testing the item revealed its true nature. A surge of energy confirmed its potential, making Ryo even more curious. Lisa, however, felt nothing. The difference in perception made Ryo question whether it was due to skill or something deeper, or she offered it freely. Despite its value, she treated it as a simple gesture, expecting nothing in return for her kindness. Ryo hesitated, recognizing Lisa's intentions. She had purchased the item, knowing it might be necessary for survival in dangerous domains. Lisa's expression softened. She had thought about the worst possibilities, preparing for an outcome where she might not return alive. The weight of uncertainty lingered. She had no specific person to entrust it to, making her choice more difficult than expected. Lisa considered Ryo's situation. Given his abilities, it made more sense for him to keep it, rather than letting it go unused. Ryo hesitated before accepting. The value of the item made it difficult, but Lisa's reasoning convinced him it was necessary. Lisa smiled, her bright eyes reflecting confidence. If the price was not enough, she had another request to balance things. Ryo remained cautious. Lisa's unpredictability always caught him off guard, making him wonder what kind of favor she might ask next. Night fell as the deal concluded. The bracelet now rested securely, marking the end of an unexpected but important exchange. Koyuki observed the bracelet closely. The magical connection between them would ensure communication, even if Ryo was inside a dangerous domain. Ryo considered its limitations. The number of uses was uncertain, meaning it should only be activated when absolutely necessary. As soon as Koyuki wore it, Ryo sensed their connection. The bracelet linked their energy, reinforcing their ability to communicate. Their synchronized energy allowed instant contact. Even within a domain, Ryo could reach Koyuki, ensuring updates if unexpected dangers arose. The bracelet's magic held restrictions. Using it drained energy, meaning communication could only happen when the situation truly required assistance. Koyuki agreed to wear it at all times. Ryo's concern ensured she would never be unreachable, regardless of any circumstances. With preparations complete, Koyuki prepared for rest. The next challenge awaited, and Ryo knew they had little time to relax. Koyuki observed Ryo with curiosity. His demeanor had changed, and for the first time, he seemed excited about entering a domain. Unlike before, he showed no hesitation. Koyuki noticed the shift, wondering if something had influenced his eagerness to take action. Ryo revealed his reason. He felt more confident, knowing he was not alone and had someone reliable by his side. Koyuki teased him, making playful assumptions. She believed there was more behind his actions, linking them to a personal connection. Lisa's presence lingered in Koyuki's thoughts. She assumed their bond was deeper, making her view the situation from a different perspective. Koyuki exaggerated the scenario, imagining dramatic possibilities. She believed intense experiences naturally brought people closer, strengthening bonds in unpredictable ways. Her thoughts spiraled, creating vivid images of Ryo and Lisa together. The idea amused her, reinforcing her growing belief in destiny. Ryo was caught off guard. Koyuki's enthusiasm overwhelmed him, making it difficult to explain his stance in a reasonable way. He attempted to dismiss her assumptions. However, Koyuki's persistence left no room for denial, making the situation even more frustrating for him. With exhaustion settling in, Ryo gave up. He prioritized rest, knowing tomorrow's challenges would require full focus and preparation. Morning arrived, bringing renewed energy. Ryo prepared to leave, ensuring everything was in order before heading toward his next destination. Koyuki reminded him about the bracelet. She emphasized its importance, wanting to make sure he stayed connected despite the dangers ahead. With a final farewell, she urged him to be cautious. Her support remained unwavering, trusting his ability to overcome obstacles. Ryo reassured her, grateful for her concern. Though reluctant to admit it, he appreciated having someone who genuinely cared about him. Stepping outside, he took a deep breath. The road ahead remained uncertain, but he was ready to face whatever awaited. Ryo stood deep in thought, reflecting on his recent progress and the absence of any contact from the town guild. Ryo walked forward with determination, knowing that his next goal required full focus on leveling up inside the dangerous domain. The city stretched before him, its bustling streets hiding countless secrets, opportunities, and unseen threats waiting beneath its surface. Lisa and her entourage arrived at the designated meeting point, her gaze scanning for a familiar presence among the gathered figures. Lisa finally met Ryo, her expression brightening as she confirmed his arrival, ready to move forward with their shared mission. Lisa smiled warmly, recalling the past moments that had given her strength and kept her moving forward despite the challenges. Rio was stunned, feeling the weight of Lisa's words and realizing how much his presence had meant to her. A memory surfaced in Rio's mind, a fleeting moment where emotions had blurred the lines between friendship and something deeper. Lisa stepped closer, noticing the sudden change in Rio's expression, while he struggled to keep his emotions in check. The two arrived at the car, ready to leave for their next destination, carrying unspoken thoughts between them. The president arrived outside Rio's residence, scanning the building while considering the information he had gathered about Rio's situation. A smirk appeared on the president's face as he exhaled smoke, already planning his next move before Rio returned. General, wearing an eye patch, introduces himself alongside Akina and Shul. They have heard of Rio through Lisa and seem welcoming. Lisa smiles, revealing she wanted to challenge a domain with Rio. He looks confused, unsure what she means by that. Snow falls silently, covering the trees. A chilling wind blows through the domain, making the environment even more unwelcoming for them. Rio shivers, realizing he is unprepared for this freezing domain. He regrets not wearing warmer clothes to handle such conditions. Lisa warns that staying too long will weaken them. They must conserve warmth through movement while tracking down the domain's boss. Roger that, General responds. The group begins advancing through the snow-covered terrain, determined to complete their mission without wasting energy. Rio analyzes their party, 1 B-class fighter and 2 C-class. It reminds him of his past team, but their trust in Lisa is different. He admires Lisa's ability to gather a well-balanced group quickly. Entering the domain in such a short time is impressive. Lisa hands General a small glowing fruit, explaining it retains heat. He holds it, feeling warmth spread through his freezing fingers. Rio watches Lisa's kindness. The fruit holds heat, and despite the cold, it provides a sense of comfort in the hostile domain. Rio hesitates before handing the fruit back. I'm fine, he insists, trying not to show weakness despite the freezing temperature. Lisa laughs lightly. Your nose is turning red, she teases. Rio touches his face, realizing the cold is affecting him. The moment feels oddly warm despite the icy surroundings. A small exchange like this offers comfort beyond just the fruit's heat. Lisa reaches for the fruit and their hands brush briefly. Rio's eyes widen, caught off guard by the unexpected warmth. Flustered, Rio stumbles slightly. Sorry, I didn't mean to, he says. Lisa reassures him with a calm smile, easing the awkward moment. Lisa noticed Rio's face turning red from the cold. She smiled before pointing it out, making him self-conscious. Rio looked embarrassed while Lisa teased him. The lighthearted moment was interrupted by General's sharp gaze scanning the surroundings. General tensed as he sensed movement in the distance. His instinct signaled danger approaching, forcing everyone to prepare immediately. Snow rustled as monstrous figures emerged from the blizzard. General's grip tightened, knowing an attack was inevitable against these creatures. A group of giant white-furred beasts charged forward, their glowing eyes locked on the party as they prepared for battle. Akina identified them as aggressive snow apes, known for their unpredictable nature and brute strength in icy environments. Lisa analyzed their numbers and realized they had no choice but to fight. The apes would not let them retreat easily. The snow beneath them cracked as the apes advanced. Lisa raised her weapon, signaling her team to prepare for combat. Akina conjured a bright magical aura, gathering energy to launch her first strike. Her focus sharpened, ensuring she would not miss. Purple energy erupted from her hands, wrapping around the nearest ape. It roared in pain as her spell restrained its movements. Lisa dashed forward with flames trailing her weapon, aiming for the lead ape. The battlefield erupted with chaotic energy. Her attack landed with immense force, sending one ape flying. The others roared, their aggression only increasing with each second. Blood splattered across the frozen ground as Lisa's strike cut through. The remaining apes grew cautious but did not retreat. Lisa's aura flared as she unleashed another devastating attack, golden flames rising high as she prepared for a powerful final blow. Rio watched from a distance, gripping his weapon. He knew it was his turn to act before more apes appeared. Rio lunged forward, dodging an ape's attack before striking. His blade pierced through, sending the beast crashing into the snow. The battle ended with fallen apes scattered across the frozen ground. Rio stood amidst them, unfazed by the quick victory. Akina praised Rio's speed, recognizing his skill. However, he remained indifferent, knowing these enemies lacked the strength to challenge him. Rio noticed something odd. Despite defeating many apes, he gained nothing from the battle, making him question his current growth. The realization settled in. He needed stronger opponents, higher class domains, and greater risks if he truly wanted to improve himself. General observed Rio's ability and questioned his goals. He wondered if Rio preferred remaining safe or pushing toward higher challenges. Lisa understood the difficulty of balancing safety and progress. The idea of a normal life seemed distant in their harsh reality. Akina emphasized that entering stronger domains required careful preparation. Without proper planning, survival in higher ranks would be nearly impossible. Lisa smiled, knowing the team's priority was ensuring everyone returned safely. Success meant nothing if it risked unnecessary casualties. Rio watched them, understanding their perspective. He realized their teamwork extended beyond battles, shaping how they moved forward as a group. Rio walks through the snowy landscape, his breath visible in the cold air. He notices something unusual ahead and slows his pace. A towering structure radiates eerie blue energy. The pulsating light flickers, casting sharp shadows on the icy ground around it. Ryo studies the strange opening, realizing it might be a shortcut. The swirling energy gives off an ominous yet inviting presence. Lisa hesitates, glancing at the strange entrance. The chilling air pricks at her skin, and an uneasy feeling grows in her chest. Ryo confidently steps forward. Lisa follows reluctantly, crunching snow beneath her boots as they prepare to enter the mysterious domain together. A sudden tremor shakes the ground. An enormous ice creature emerges from the snow, its crystalline body shimmering under the pale sky. The beast lets out a deafening roar, sending shards of ice flying. The cold air stings as Lisa braces herself. Lisa's eyes widen at the sight. She has never encountered a monster composed entirely of living ice, its energy overwhelming. General tightens his grip on his weapon, but the temperature drops sharply. Frost begins forming on their clothes, slowing their movements. The creature stomps forward, summoning a massive ice barrier. The group is now trapped, with no visible way to escape. Ryo slams his fist against the ice wall, testing its strength. The unbreakable surface glows faintly, reinforcing the monster's control. General grits his teeth, trying to lift his weapon, but the cold stiffens his muscles. Their attacks seem utterly ineffective. Lisa glances at Ryo, realizing they are unprepared. A retreat might be necessary to find the monster's weak point. Ryo refuses to back down. He climbs a tree, his sharp eyes scanning the battlefield for any weaknesses in the creature's form. With a sudden leap, Ryo launches himself toward the beast, determined to strike. The howling wind follows as he descends. Ryo stands atop the massive ice creature, his boots pressing against its frozen body. The beast trembles under his determined presence. A glowing sword materializes in his hands, radiating immense power. The cold air crackles as energy surges through the enchanted blade. With a decisive strike, Ryo drives the weapon into the creature's head. Shards of ice explode, signaling the monster's defeat. The ice creature lets out a final roar, its body cracking. Blue shards scatter as its towering figure begins collapsing. Lisa shields her eyes as the freezing shards rain down. The temperature suddenly shifts, leaving the air lighter and calmer. Akina gasps as her notices something forming in the ice. A shimmering glow spreads across the battlefield, signaling something unexpected. Ryo steps forward, his boots crunching against the shattered ice. His gaze remains focused on the fading energy surrounding the remains. Lisa watches Ryo in awe, realizing his strength has grown. The battle was over, yet something about him felt different. Ryo glances at his hand, feeling a rush of energy. The system notifies him, confirming his power has reached new heights. A glowing interface appears, indicating his level has increased significantly. He clenches his fist, understanding the immense potential now within his grasp. Lisa and General exchange glances, impressed by Ryo's progress. He had taken down a formidable boss with a single strike. Lisa steps forward, admiration clear in her eyes. Her excitement grows as she realizes what this victory could mean for them. Ryo grins, inviting Lisa and General to challenge even stronger domains. His confidence shines, ready for whatever comes next. Lisa enthusiastically agrees, excitement bubbling at the thought of exploring higher-ranked domains. General nods, determined to grow stronger alongside them. The group cheers, the victory giving them renewed confidence. They decide to form a plan before attempting an even harder challenge. Laughter fills the air as their determination solidifies. The group's bond strengthens, prepared to face whatever dangers the future holds. Meanwhile, a sudden knock interrupts a quiet night. Koyuki sits up, startled by the unexpected visitors standing outside her door. A group of men stands at the door, claiming to be security. Their sharp gazes hint at something more sinister beneath. Koyuki steps back, gripping the door handle. Her heart races as she realizes the intruders are not from any security company. She swiftly conjures ice, sending sharp shards toward the attackers. The air freezes around her as she prepares for another strike. One of the attackers dodges effortlessly, shattering her defenses. His sharp movements cut through the air with practiced precision and deadly intent. President steps forward confidently, unfazed by Koyuki's resistance. His piercing gaze studies her as he evaluates the situation before him. Koyuki collapses, blood dripping from her lips. Her vision blurs while she struggles to remain conscious against the overwhelming force. President smirks, glancing down at Koyuki. His amusement is evident as he watches her weakened state on the cold floor. He comments on Koyuki's resemblance to Ryo, mocking the protective nature between siblings. His eyes gleam with a sinister intent. Koyuki's fingers twitch as she reaches for something. A sharp pain shoots through her body, making it difficult to move. A sudden jolt of energy courses through her, causing her to scream. The attackers had disabled her communication bracelet completely. President studies the broken bracelet with satisfaction. He now understands why Ryo had left Koyuki behind and went alone. Koyuki winces as President presses his boot against her, forcing her down. The room fills with an unsettling silence. She struggles, but the pressure intensifies. President watches, entertained by her futile resistance against his overwhelming strength. Her shaking fingers reach out for the shattered bracelet. The cold metal glimmers under the dim light as hope fades. The men observe with unreadable expressions, waiting for their orders. President casually gestures, signaling them to finish their task. He smirks, giving the final command. Koyuki trembles, realizing she has no way out as darkness edges her vision. President leans in closer, studying Koyuki's battered expression. His smirk widens as he speaks, relishing the fear in her eyes. Koyuki gasps for air, her body weak from exhaustion. The room spins slightly, but she refuses to show any weakness. A sudden sharp pain shoots through her, making her wince. The impact leaves her breathless, yet her determination remains unshaken. President steps back, enjoying the scene. The men behind him watch in silence, awaiting his next command with unwavering loyalty. Koyuki stares defiantly despite the pain, blood dripping from her lips. She grits her teeth, believing Ryo will come soon. Koyuki glares at President, her breathing shallow. She refuses to let fear consume her, even in the face of overwhelming power. President smirks, tilting his head slightly. Amusement flickers in his eyes as he watches Koyuki's stubborn resistance despite her injuries. Meanwhile, the cold wind howls over the snowy landscape. The untouched frost glistens under the pale sky, concealing hidden dangers. Akina grips her weapon, standing alert. Her sharp gaze scans the area, sensing an unusual disturbance in the air around her. Shoal tightens his grip on his sword, his expression unreadable. The eerie stillness suggests something is about to happen. Shoal and Ryo stand together, exchanging a glance. The tension between them hints at an impending challenge neither can ignore. Lisa approaches Ryo, holding something in her hands. Her eyes shine with gratitude as she prepares to hand it over. Ryo smiles, taking the item with ease. His relaxed demeanor makes it seem as if nothing weighs heavily on his mind. Lisa and the others smile, sharing a light-hearted moment. The cold air is momentarily forgotten as warmth spreads among them. Lisa looks at Ryo closely, sensing something is off. Though he smiles, something in his eyes feels distant and unreadable. Ryo glances at his bracelet, sensing something unusual. A strange feeling creeps in, making him pause in the cold air. His eyes widen as an unsettling realization sets in. The once powerful energy flowing through the bracelet now feels eerily unstable and weak. Memories of the previous connection rush through his mind. The bracelet had been filled with energy before, linking him directly to Koyuki. Now, the glow flickers erratically, sending out faint pulses. The magical link weakens, causing him to tighten his grip anxiously. Panic rises as Ryo struggles to reconnect. His heartbeat quickens, fearing the worst. Something has gone terribly wrong with Koyuki's bracelet. Ryo's heart pounds as he rushes forward. His instincts scream that Koyuki is in danger, pushing him to act without hesitation. Lisa and the others notice Ryo's sudden reaction. Their confused expressions shift to concern as they realize something serious is happening. Without wasting time, they decide to follow him. The urgency in his movements tells them there is no time to delay. Ryo arrives inside a dimly lit room. Bloodstains on the floor send a chill through him as he frantically looks around. He clenches his fists, scanning the empty space. His voice echoes through the silent hall, determination burning in his sharp gaze. Ryo's hands tighten around the device as his breath catches. The screen displays something that makes his heartbeat quicken with panic. Koyuki sits motionless in the cold, dimly lit room. A shadowed figure reaches toward her, the tension thick in silence.